Asmongold streamed his response to my video, pausing the video before I could complete a statement.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that Asmongold pre-watched it. He was pausing it at key moments where the explanation would have completely destroyed him.
I'm sure that race is a component why people have low IQ.
There is no broadly accepted scientific evidence.
The problem with Asmongold's takes is that you have to be somebody who's never gone outside to believe them. All the data speaks against what you're saying.
These people are total drains on the society.
The Somali population has an estimated $8 billion positive economic impact.
Well, I mean, he gets most of his information from Twitter, so he's just not going to acknowledge it.
Not a single actual point of like counter research is provided.
Some of that counter evidence is behind his head on the screen.
That's my favorite part, dude. He just ignores all the evidence in front of him.
This man is arguing the opposite of reality.
Whenever you have dumb people, they're not going to reproduce.
The idea that dumb people aren't reproducing. This has to be Asmongold's dumbest fucking take.
You haven't refuted a fucking thing here. Fight back.
That is him fighting back, dude. Feigning ignorance and being confidently wrong. All right, guys. It's time to watch this video. The Birdman responded to Asmongold's response to Birdman's original video. So we're getting into some crazy reactception. I also have a video where I cover... incredible. Or I cover this other one. I'll link it in the description. I'll try to remember. Yeah, let's just give it a watch, man. Exposing the grift, debunking Asmongold again. Wow, incredible.
Well then, about a week and some change ago, I uploaded a video where I addressed a tweet
some change
made by Asmongold, where he claimed the average IQ in Somalia was 68, that this claim isn't racist but a fact, and that this was an attempt at a narrative push to obscure reality.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and Asmongold just completely missed the point. So the Birdman guy, he showed some interesting information. It was just a guy talking about how, like, we haven't evolved rapidly as a species, as a human people, yet our parents and our grandparents are dumber than us, right? And it's not because they're dumber than us, it's just because they had better educational opportunities. And so the point is like, yeah, if you give Somalian people better education opportunities, they will have a better IQ. It's not really like a particularly hot take. It's a pretty, like, you know, we just need to understand that it's a very normal take, and you know, Asmongold's take outside of his house, it's a really weird one, so don't give it too much credibility.
He was responding to a tweet
or energy
made by Mehdi Hassan, where Hassan shows a clip of a discussion he had with Piers Morgan broaching this topic. In my video, I set out to do three things. The first was to prove that the claim made by Asmongold wasn't a fact. The second was to prove that it was in fact a racist claim.
Well, it was. I mean, I guess it was a fact. I mean, there's other IQ scores that say 84, so that would be, it wouldn't really be a fact. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey guys, a certain group of people has a low IQ. Why do you think that is? Asmongold thinks it's an inherent thing because he thinks that Somalian people are just less than. It's not the case, dude. It's just like people that are educated have better opportunities. Who the fuck would have thought?
And the third was to show that due to him being wrong about the first two, that it was in fact Asmongold pushing a narrative, thus demonstrating the irony of his tweet. I spent basically 99% of that video not even talking about Asmongold, but about the claim itself, diving into the history of that claim, where it comes from, and why it was wrong. In less than an hour of me uploading my video, Asmongold streamed his response to my video, which he probably will be doing to this video.
Probably not. I mean, I don't think he's just gonna go, oh, I've already addressed it, blah, 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 and he's gonna start shitting his pants. He's not gonna give a fuck.
Hello again, Zach. His response was about,
maybe I'm wrong though,
what I expected, pausing the video before I could complete a statement, rambling incoherently about things tangentially related to what I said.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that Asmongold pre-watched it, and he was trying to get ahead of the narrative because, like, he was pausing it at key moments where the explanation would have completely destroyed him, but he got ahead of it. I mean, again, you can watch my original coverage of it. I'll link in the description.
If that, blatantly lying and not providing any source to back up the ridiculous claims he made. Oh, and attacking me at the end, claiming I'm a racist that hates white people, which... His strategy of interrupting me before I could finish speaking made it clear to everyone that he can't actually contend with what was being said, because actually allowing me to speak ruins his talking points. So he tried to flip the narrative away from his own ignorance of the topic to one of his canned talking points about inbreeding, and later a weak claim about me that...
Oh yeah, he tried to push this idea that, like, the majority of the people, I guess, in the Middle East are inbred or something. I mean, dude, again, some people do be inbred. Either way, I don't think that we should throw people out for characteristics that they can't really necessarily control about themselves. Although it's like, I mean, okay, you know, it's like, I don't know. Asmongold just likes to. I mean, he's really just trying to say something to be dismissive of what's going on around. And I think that if somebody, even if they're their parents are cousins, I think that they still can have a very positive, productive, and intelligent life. So, especially if they live in America, where you're not really supposed to be fucking your hot cousin, you know what I'm saying?
That a person that literally argues against racism for a living is a racist. So fine, Pee Wee Herman. You want to make a hasty response? I'm going to slowly cook you. And since you need your handheld, Zach, I'm going to put a symbol on the screen that lets you know when I'm done with a thought, so you don't have to constantly rewind the video to actually hear what I said.
Based, I guess.
In one of the most ironic social media posts of all time,
we're really reacceptioning here.
Asmongold makes the claim, in response to Mehdi Hassan, that the average IQ in Somalia is 68. And that
I was rounding up, actually. It's like somewhere around 67.
6'7".
But yeah.
6'7".
So this is an example of what I'm talking about. Pausing to interject, usually with something irrelevant like this.
I don't think that this one specifically is that big of a deal. He's just doing like a meme. I think that there's much bigger examples to harp on.
Because I guess he thought that was funny. You see,
dude, 6'7" is amazing, bro. I'm literally 7 years old.
Zach mistakes talking with actually saying something. A professional yapper, if you will.
Hey, listen. Me too. Same.
I suppose he's afraid of allowing someone to fully finish a sentence, lest his brain-dead audience hear something insightful.
I guess. I think that's generally true. I just don't think that this is the instance to harp on that point, personally.
Oh, the sign is on the screen, Zach. You can respond now. Ooh. Or did you pause before I said even this? What makes this post ironic is the very last bit where Zach claims Hassan's tweet is an attempt to push a narrative.
Hassan Parker?
It absolutely is trying to push a narrative.
Yes, Zach.
Sure, if the narrative is just the reality of the world. Guys, chat, is it a narrative? Guys, I love my son. Is that a narrative? You know what I mean? Like, what is a narrative to you?
Zach, we know that's what you believe, buddy. That's why I said that. Let's revisit the tweet Zach was responding to. Mehdi Hassan was having a conversation with Piers Morgan on his show.
Shit.
Hassan states that Piers has Trump denial syndrome, as Piers denies that—
I think it's derangement syndrome, no? Wow, just mega son.
Trump is a racist, to which Hassan
Trump is a racist.
Responds with, he calls Somali people low IQ.
Yes, it's you.
Well, it's a lot more than that. I mean, his entire, he's centralized like his entire, running strategy, or, what's the presidential strategy on claiming that, people are coming here to harm you. Illegal immigrants in general are coming here to harm you, that they're eating your cats and your dogs and this and that. It's all just like, yeah, there's a lot of, that's what he plays it up. I mean, his first, I guess, racism was when he ran on Obama not being a United States citizen. That's racist. What reason could he do that except for, he's black. He's a black guy. That's the only reason that he's pushed that narrative. So
you have TDS, Piers. You have Trump denial syndrome. When I say to you, is Trump racist? You say, no, he's not racist, even though he calls Somalis low IQ, Piers. Do you agree that Somali people are low IQ? Is that not the most racist thing?
Just to explain, Mehdi, just to explain.
You're dodging me.
This is not your show.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ, Piers?
This is not your show, Mehdi.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ?
You don't get to interview me for half an hour. It's not your show.
People are worried about—
Damn, it's kind of a coward. Who would have expected Piers Morgan to coward out of that? Wow.
I come on your show when I haven't been silent about any of these things.
So, as we all can see, the context was that Trump was a racist for using white supremacist rhetoric. Asmongold responds to that video with the aforementioned tweet, citing a not only incorrect number, but one put forth by a white supremacist. Remember the context. Hassan's point is that Trump is—
then he went off about DNA and how the guy who invented DNA, that's what Asmongold said, he got in trouble for talking about how certain groups were lower IQ or something like that. That's what he kind of went off onto, because he was racist. He thought that certain groups of people were like inherently inferior. So
is using racist rhetoric about a topic he very likely hasn't researched. Starting to sound familiar?
What research do you really need to do to know that, like, if you educate people the same, they're gonna grow up the same? It's just such a normal take, dude. The problem with like Asmongold's takes is that you have to be somebody who's never gone outside before in order to believe them. Like this whole idea that like certain group of people is just inherently lower IQ because of their skin color, it's boring and it's just stupid. I mean, there's nothing to really. I used to go to school with fucking black people. You know, like it's you know what I mean. It's like, oh, anecdotally, I know you're wrong. And then just reality-wise, we know you're wrong because all the data speaks against what you're saying. You educate people the same, they'll generally turn out the same. Obviously not on a one-to-one basis. There are people who are generally smarter regardless of skin color or ethnicity or whatever. But as a whole, if you educate 1,000 people the same as another 1,000 people, white and black, they're going to turn out the same. It's not that fucking hot of a take. It's like, it's insane that like the conversations that are happening online are just bizarre. It's bizarre that we even have to utter these words. Like, is it not? Is it not the most fucking bizarre thing in the world that we literally are uttering the words like, hey guys, like we live in a time where we have to say, hey dude, you know, people are equal regardless of skin color. Like that's what we have to do every day in this weird online slop space because people like Asmongold aren't convinced of it anymore. The guy that looks like this, the guy that let his teeth rot out of his head, the guy that like has to put his finger on the screen to read people's text. That's the guy that we gotta convince this guy and all of his followers. I mean, it's a true testament to the lack of educational fucking access in the United States.
So I point out the irony of Zach's tweet, that it's him actually pushing a narrative, the narrative being a seed that was planted a long time ago by a racist, repeating racist rhetoric. This was the core thesis of my video.
What up, British people? I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced, dude. I'm not convinced.
Pointing out the irony of this tweet and to debunk the claim at its root while explaining the conditions that Africans face, which accounts for them not having experienced the Flynn effect.
Oh yeah, there was a lot too. A lot of it was like a lack of food access, lack of like certain like materials that are inside of their like their water or different things, or like cobalt poisoning was another thing, which is going to inhibit your ability to grow. Like there was a lot of different like examples that he brought up.
Or having experienced the Flynn effect to a lesser degree than we of the West. This chart shows that all human groups have experienced significant IQ growth over time because once again, IQ is not genetic, but based on environmental factors.
I mean, okay, so like I yes and no. I mean, it is. There's obviously genetics involved. I don't think that that's ever true. Like, it is genetic, but it's not genetic based on skin color, right? So I think that that's something that you should be careful about, especially if you're trying to speak to Asmongold's fucking brain dead audience, which I do think that this guy is trying to do to an extent, right? It is genetic. IQ is genetic. It just doesn't matter what skin color you are. It literally does not matter. That's the fucking thing. You know, and there's another thing that he didn't bring up in the last video too, which I think is important to bring up, and that's brain drain. You know, again, if you want to come to the America, a lot of times you have to be like, quote unquote, the best of the best. And so we take away the best of the best from other countries that would you know push their country forward because we take them for ourselves, right? So there's so many different things. We imperialize their assets. We, you know, have we imperialize their people, their smartest people. There's a lot of different factors, you know.
And that right there, the fact that it's not genetic, or me saying that it's not genetic, seemed to turn off the light bulb in the brains of Asmongold and his viewers. They seem...
Well, he gets to be really unintelligent about it. He gets to be like, no, actually, it is genetic, right? That's why you want to speak a little bit carefully. I mean, obviously, this guy's going to get held to a higher standard because Asmongold is incredibly stupid, but... that's just the unfortunate reality of the world, huh?
To think I said this is what Zach said or believed, and I didn't? I don't know where this talking point came from. I don't expect much intelligence when you're attempting to brigade someone, but I mean, it's almost...
Brigade? I don't know what that means. Oh, I would drop that too. Personally, I would drop... This guy's really smart, but I would drop that, the victim narrative too. Because I understand what he's saying. He's like, listen, this guy's reacting or responding to me, and that's causing people to harass me. 1,000% true. But this is kind of the space where, like, if you're going to talk about something, people are going to respond to you. And so you kind of have to, you know, you can't, it's time, I mean, you just can't. You can't complain. You're just not allowed to complain about that. You know, that's just it. That's the best I can tell you. You're really just not allowed to complain about it. It is what it is, you know. Your video was solid. They stay strong. You know, people, it's just annoying people on the internet. It's not that deep. You know, so that's just my advice though, personally. It comes off as like a little bit strange when you do stuff like that. That's kind of the only thing Asmongold has going for him, is that he's confidently wrong, and that he's he's confident, and he doesn't say stuff like that. Actually, he does. What am I talking about? He doesn't have that for him. What is he? He's always talks about how the fucking white people are under attack. I'm being stupid. But either way, the point that I'm making is more of like, don't try not to spin too much into like a victim kind of a thing. A lot of people are negatively interacting with you. It is what it is. It just is what it is. What are you going to do?
It's like these people didn't even watch the video. The vast majority of the video, again, 99% of the runtime, is me talking about the history behind the number Zach used.
Whoa. 6-7?
Here is where I'll give Asmongold some leeway. To be fair to him, he's completely unaware of who I am and what I do, and that makes sense. I'm a much smaller creator, and we are not in the same niche on YouTube.
True.
So he has no way to know that in my videos, especially my video essays, I use a particular issue as an opportunity to teach my audience about concepts they may not have known about. So in this video, I explain the origins of the claim Zach made and why it was bad science. And because it's bad science, that we shouldn't be parroting it as if it's a fact. Because
yeah, sure. And that his entire worldview is based on a bad science, so it's not really worth engaging with. I understand, yeah.
If you're parroting bad science as a fact, you're pushing a narrative. And if you're pushing a narrative while claiming others are pushing a narrative, you're committing the sin of irony.
Oh.
It's trying to push the false narrative that every culture and every group of people has an identical IQ. This is not true. Everybody knows this isn't true.
It doesn't have to be true, right? It just doesn't have to be true. That's not really what's in contestment. I don't think anybody would care if one skin color had an average IQ of 5 points lower, right? So that might be true. Maybe there are some skin colors or ethnicities that have higher IQs biologically. Doubt it, but maybe that's true. But that's not the conversation we're having, right? We're having a conversation about does one have an average genetic IQ of 105 while the other one has an average genetic IQ of 72? You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. That's it. Like, it's not as deep as he wants to. That's the problem, is that, quote unquote, maybe more reasonable people will look at that because that's too vague of a statement and go like, they'll interpret it the way they want to. And that kind of lends credibility to what Asmongold's saying. That's one of the biggest problems from conservatives, is they don't explain themselves, and they do it intentionally. The tactic is like, I'm not going to explain myself so that you can interpret it the way that you want to, based on if you want to be, I guess, charitable or not. And that's one way they'll do it. So this whole claim of like, oh, some races might have higher or lower IQs genetically. We know that that's probably true. Well, it's probably not true, but even if it is, there are people who might just, good faith you and say, there are people who will good faith you and be like, yeah, well, it's only like 5, but it does exist. And now all of a sudden, Asmongold looks smarter than all these fucking morons. But Asmongold's dog whistling that it's significantly large. That's the contestment.
Take 3 seconds and you look at the world and you know it isn't true.
This is why I placed the clip of Piers and Mehdi Hassan in this video, so that you all have the context, because we all just heard Asmongold lie, right? In what part of the clip that I showed or didn't show did Mehdi Hassan suggest that every culture has an identical IQ? Oh, the sign is on the screen, Zach. You can reply now. And I think you don't actually...
Did you say culture?
The world and you know it isn't true. Every culture and every group of people has an identical IQ.
Yeah, group of people. So it's not just culture. I guess I picked up more on the the group of people thing. It's clearly a dog whistle to me that he's talking about like actual skin colors.
In what part of the clip that I showed or didn't show did Mehdi Hassan suggest that every culture has an identical IQ? Oh, the sign is on the screen, Zach. You can reply now. And I think you don't actually have an answer, because that didn't happen. So what you're going to do is ramble about something I didn't ask. Answer my question. Where did Mehdi Hassan say that in the clip? Oh, he didn't? Right. So in reality, your framing of this issue is something you've made up because you're culture warring here and wanted to parrot a long discredited talking point. Well, not only is this Asmongold's attempt to push a narrative, but the claim itself that African people have low IQs is also an attempt to push a narrative.
Yeah.
That number typically traces back.
Yeah, I love that part about Asmongold. Yeah.
back to the world.
There's also a lot of other components to why people have low IQ, and it's not necessarily race. I'm sure that race is a...
There you go. He's saying race. He's not talking about culture. He's talking about race. This is what I'm talking about. It's not just race. He's trying to say that this, like, when he says stuff like that, he's trying to say that it is race, that the majority of it is race. Right now, he's like feigning this idea that, like, oh, it could be other things too, and he probably believes that, but he doesn't place any importance on those other things. So, like, yes, Asmongold is being a racist
component, but I would say it's probably like a 4th or 5th level component.
On this point, you and I half agree. First of all, race as a biological concept is not a real thing.
He doesn't think that, so that doesn't really matter. That's not going to be his take. Asmongold's take is going to be that, like, race is just people. It's like white, black. That's all he thinks. So
I paused to let you cope for a second. I know that's what you want to believe, Zach, but I'm sorry, the scientific consensus simply disagrees with you. The American Association of Biological Anthropologists clearly state that race does not provide an accurate representation of human biological variation. They go on to state that the Western concept of race must be understood as a classification system that emerged from and in support of European colonialism, oppression, and discrimination. It thus does not have its roots in biological reality, but in policies of discrimination. So in that respect,
sure. I mean, that makes sense. Especially, like, I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't really care about that. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. It's like, oh, if you're even like a little bit black, you're like black. That's your race, quote unquote. But again, that's not necessarily how Asmongold interprets these things. So to him and his audience, like, race is just like, oh, you're black. That makes you less intelligent. That's literally it. That's the attempt that he's trying to make here.
Race is real, but only in the sociological sense, or
it's like a way that we categorize things. That's literally it. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really matter.
Or how we treat each other, i.e., racism.
It's like in the way where, like, Pluto is a planet. Oh no, it's not a planet. Oh, it's a it doesn't matter. It does not matter if there's a planet or not. It just exists. It's a classification that it exists. You know, because if Pluto's a planet, or what do they call it, a dwarf star or something? I don't even know what the fuck they would call it. It doesn't change that Pluto exists and that it has the same function it's always had as a small planet. Like, it doesn't matter.
Where we agree is that genetics can play a factor in one's ability or capacity to learn. For example, someone born with Down syndrome potentially has a more difficult time than someone who does not.
Potentially is most definitely. Actually, that's tough. I guess a different question, because a lot of people with Down syndrome are super fucking happy and they love wrestling. So maybe they would, you know, if they grew up in a society that didn't have robust, you know, helping metrics, we'll say, yeah, this is probably true. I would say generally it is true, though. You're probably going to be more to be struggling.
But as stated, there is no broadly accepted scientific evidence that any socially defined human group is genetically predisposed to having a lower ability to learn than any other, and I challenge you to provide evidence to the contrary.
Well, I say people with Down syndrome are going to struggle more, but I don't care. I don't think he's necessarily talking about Down syndrome. I think he's talking about white and black. So
than any other,
yeah.
And
he's talking about race. So.
Challenge you to provide evidence to the contrary. You can't, and I know you can't. So you'll just cope and say that they won't allow it to be studied.
Well, he's just not going to watch this video.
Like,
but that actually would be what he would say, though. He would probably be like, oh, well, they don't want it to be studied because it's not okay to study that. It's the great conspiracy. They won't let us study it because they're afraid we'll figure out, I guess, black people are inferior. That is basically Asmongold's take. Sure.
Like a flat earther.
So the big reason is you've got the big three, right? Two of them are like kind of harder to say, and the last one is like a little bit hard. It's a little bit more obvious. Inbreeding is number one. Do you think that inbreeding is going to lower people's IQ or not?
It might. Probably a little bit. I would say inbreeding is like the small. I don't think that two cousins having a baby is going to make their baby less intelligent than a child not having access to education. I think that these are probably a little different. Or like good food. Like, what do you think is going to be worse? An inbred kid with lots of like food and access to education and lives healthily, or a kid that their parents aren't cousins, but they literally grow up fucking starving and like without proper nutrition. You know what I mean? It's like it's frankly, it's probably on the lower end of things that matter that much.
Do you think that a society full of people that are inbreeding are going to have low IQs? Is it going to fuck up people's brains? Absolutely it is.
Well, fortunately, we have a study for that. In 2018, Johnson, Evans, and Keller published a study analyzing homozygosity in 400,000
Oh, is that a slur? What the hell?
people. In case that's too big a word for you, Zach,
I'd say it's a big word for me, dog.
Homozygosity simply means inheriting two identical alleles for a gene. Inbreeding increases the probability of homozygosity or autozygosity,
Stop
which
saying
can
that.
increase the expression of harmful recessive disorders. Anyway, in this study, they found a small negative association between genome-wide homozygosity and fluid intelligence, or our
Fluid. Got it.
ability to reason through novel problems, which is a major component of IQ testing. However, when controlling for socioeconomic
What does a novel problem mean in this context? Like kind of a small problem?
variables such as education and income, the strength of that association weakened substantially. In other words, once they accounted for things like education,
In other words, guys, if you have a hot cousin, you might as well put a bun in. You know what I'm saying, guys? That's what this guy's saying, not me. I would never say that, okay? Stop.
income and social environment, the link between genome-wide homozygosity and lower fluid intelligence mostly shrank. This aligns with the broader point that one's environment plays the biggest role in determining the outcome of an IQ test. Science. They already thought of that. As an aside, I've noticed that when I'm reading off the results of a study, Asmongold likes to do this thing where when he hears a study disagreeing with him, he'll either pretend that it's agreeing with him, or he'll commit a red herring or a non sequitur.
Or maybe he's just like legitimately fucking stupid and thinks it agrees with him. It's also a possibility. But again, I think he pre-watched, so
It's quite
like Asmongold pre-watched, which is, I mean, you can do that, but it's funny how Asmongold will pre-watch. He does it actually relatively consistently. He'll pre-watch something and he'll just pretend that he didn't. He's done it with like, or he'll pre-look at somebody's tweets or something. Like he's done it with some of my shorter like videos that he looks at on the stream. He's done that before.
quite embarrassing, actually. You'll see him try this when I read off a study showing the numbers he posted in his tweet were too low. So what I'm expecting here is him, instead of accepting that inbreeding isn't as detrimental to one's IQ as he's stating, he'll
If anything, his response will be something like, "Oh, so you think inbreeding is okay then?" That would be something along the lines of how he would respond to that. That would be his tactic at that point.
instead instruct his moronic audience to say that I, the Birdman, am advocating for inbreeding.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he would say. Yes,
It's very predictable
that's exactly what he would say.
and the sign of someone having lost the debate but being too much of a bitch to admit that he was wrong.
Owned. Well, that's the Hassan. That's all the Hassan. Well, I mean, it is also the Hassan tactic. That is the grift tactic at this point. Like, you never admit if you're wrong, even if you're incorrect, because it's about looking right, not being right. It's not about like being intelligent,
You also have the amount.
An example would be like really like that my debate with Andrew Wilson, where I guess I look like I lost because I was having a conversation and trying to understand where he's coming from, and he was just trying to debate molest me. But I remember one point specifically because I actually talked about this with my wife after. I thought it was really interesting. And we talked about the statistic. Andrew said that the majority, it was something like 30 to 50% of gay relationships are open. And that's your example of gay men being promiscuous. And that's why they're bad. That's Andrew's take. And, I talked to my wife about it because, she has gay friends and stuff. And she's like, there's a couple things. The first thing is it's self-reported, right? It's self-reported and it's consensual non-monogamy. And it's like, who the fuck are the ones like purchasing OnlyFans? It's straight men in relationships. And purchasing OnlyFans in most relationships would be considered some form of cheating or non-monogamy. It's just not consensual non-monogamy, which is true. Andrew likes to say that the majority of them, it's like, oh, well, they're all just have men walking around the house. That's not what non-monogamy is. Some of them might, doubtful, but a lot of it's just like, oh yeah, you can use Grindr if you want, or you could talk to somebody else, or what I mean. Like that's a thing. That is a thing for a lot, like for some gay relationship where you can just like chat with somebody online and you could sext with them. I would say that the majority of relationships aren't. Dudes are walking around my house randomly. So that was a big part of it. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And there's another conversation about how since gay people are seen as a taboo still in our society, not as much anymore, but still in general, there's part of it that it's like, yeah, since they're ostracized in some capacity and they're pushed farther away from, the conventional norms, they're going to be more accepting of non-conventional things as well. Different societal outcasts will accept other societal outcasts. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But Andrew was wrong. He was weaponizing a factual statistic to be disingenuous and push hatred on gay people. But he thought he was right, and he goes around as if he's right, and so that makes him right to a lot of very low IQ people, people that I'm not necessarily, particularly interested in being part of my audience. So there's a lot to think about there. It's an interesting conversation if you're like actually intelligent and want to be interested and actually want to engage with it, like you have a fucking brain.
Amount of nutrition. You have food. So if you take people that are inbred, that have no food.
Well, how would they have no food if they're inbred?
You are going to have people that have extremely low IQs. This is just obvious.
Oh, so maybe you should just give them some bread. They'll increase their IQ, right?
And the problem is that some people want to pretend like this isn't the case, but it's very...
Nobody contests that food doesn't have a significant impact. I don't know where he's getting this from.
Very evident that it is, because your brain isn't getting the nutrients that it needs. Now, I think that, again, if you really even assign all of that and you remove all of that, very clearly there probably are some degree of racial differences, but the main factors are inbreeding and nutrition. That's a massive fucking factor.
I would say that it's not going to be inbreeding and nutrition. Inbreeding is probably lower on the list. Not that it's not an impact. Of course it's going to be, but inbreeding is not going to be the number one determiner of IQ in any capacity. It's going to be actual education access, nutrition, environmental exposure, and then inbreeding, I suppose. So
you're nullifying your own argument here, Zach. For those
Zach, bitch,
that are unaware, Asmongold doesn't want Somali immigrants in the United States.
True.
His reasoning is, among other things, they are low IQ. But he's contradicting his own argument here by admitting their environment plays a part. If Somali people immigrated to the United States...
Yeah, what Asmongold's doing is he's pretending that it's an extraordinarily small part. But he's doing it in a way that he acknowledges you. So he's like, hey, I acknowledge that some of the things you're saying are true, but they really don't matter. So he's acknowledging what you're saying is true while downplaying how true it is so that he seems intelligent to his audience. Oh, yeah, I've considered that, but it's actually a 0.0001% factor. That's what he's doing there. That's the whole point of it. Like that's the whole strategy. That's it.
They would then have the environmental factors that we both agree would raise one's IQ scores, meaning his argument about IQ is not only a massive deflection, it's also an internal contradiction. Everyone who knows anything about IQ understands that IQ is not static, even Zach here. Otherwise, there is no point in him talking about...
I don't know. Personally, dude, I think IQ is kind of fucked because when I was 12, I took an IQ test and it says I was 174, and there's no way my IQ is that high. There's just no fucking way. It definitely isn't anymore. I took an online one like a year ago and it was like 120, but I feel like that can't be true. That's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, what does IQ really mean? What the fuck is the point? Isn't it like basically deficient after a certain amount? Like, what the fuck does it matter?
Their environment.
There's also a lot of other components to why people have low IQ, and it's not necessarily race. I'm sure that race is a component, but I would say it's probably like a 4th or 5th level component. You also have the amount of nutrition. You have...
Is this an old clip? Was this... What the fuck? How did this change? Why is it a 4th or a 5th level component now, when before he was saying it was like the top component?
Food.
So he's acknowledged a causal factor.
Bro, I'm so confused. Why is it now a lower tier component when originally he was arguing that it was the biggest reason? What the fuck?
But is actively attempting to block the mechanism that would change the outcome.
And also, if you look at the way that people from Somalia have integrated into British culture, how they've integrated into American culture, how they've come from, let's say, Japan, you will see one common variable every single time. It's that these people are total drains on the society. They are...
I love how he thinks that like they've integrated at all yet, despite the fact that they haven't. It's been like not even a generation. You don't integrate that fast. Okay? When Italians first came here, they had the mafia. You know what I mean? Like it takes a while to integrate. What are you talking about?
Massively problematic. They're scamming. They steal things. They do not integrate. And at the end of the day, they are
Some of them do bad stuff. Yeah, poor people do bad stuff. Again, dude, there have been gangs that come here from like every culture, every white culture. It takes a while to integrate, to disconnect yourself. I don't know what to tell you. They haven't been here long enough for them to integrate. That takes generations. That's just a reality. You know, if you want to say I don't want to wait that long, fine, whatever. That's fine, but don't pretend that they haven't integrated. It's not a one-to-one scenario. Like, you know, just because Asmongold got a girlfriend doesn't mean he's going to start showering. He's not going to integrate to our culture. So, you know, you have to acknowledge these things as well.
negative for the societies that they come to.
They're really not, though. They're not a net negative at all. You know, they're a point of like you know, they're a point of labor. Of you know, what do you call it, like menial labor. They don't have a lot of education. They're willing to do other jobs. They come from harsher cultures where hard work is valued even less than how we value it here, so they're willing to take like minimum wage for difficult positions. Yeah, I mean, they provide significant benefit to our country, you know, or else we wouldn't take them. We have an aging population. We need to take people from other countries. It doesn't mean we have to take everybody, but like generally speaking, they do benefit our country. Yeah, it's true, we do steal. Just like Eddie Guerrero, baby. We lie, we cheat, we steal, baby.
I was waiting for Zach to substantiate that claim with any kind of evidence, but I guess that ain't coming. I guess we'll have to do the hand-holding that his audience usually has to do for him. Zach mentioned 3 societies where Somali people have integrated: British, American, and Japanese. He claims that Somali people have been
I didn't even know the Japanese people, they had Somalian people and Japanese.
a drain on these societies.
True, but they're brown. Yeah, you're right. You got me.
And that they are a negative. These are nebulous words with no real meaning, because he could be talking about a number of different things, and should we pin him down on one thing, he'll commit the Mott and Bailey fallacy, which...
Was he just going to switch to a different thing? I don't know what the fuck Mott and Bailey is.
He'll probably do while streaming his reaction to this video.
Again, I don't think he's going to react to this, boss man. You know what?
But let's try anyway and see which corner he paints himself into next. Let's talk about our home country first.
The cum corner.
The United States. There are about 260,000 people of Somali heritage in the United States, 32% of whom are concentrated in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, the largest enclave of Somali people in the country. 58% of that population in Minnesota are American-born citizens, meaning they are due the rights and privileges of anyone born in this country according to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States.
He doesn't care about that. He's just going to say they shouldn't have come here in the first place. But, you know.
The Somali population has an estimated $8 billion positive economic impact while paying $67 million in state and local taxes annually. Remember, the Somali population in Minnesota is only about 100,000 people, and 42% are minors. That leaves an adult population of roughly 58,000 people. Yet this relatively small community is tied to an estimated $8 billion in economic activity across Minnesota. But
what does economic activity mean? I'm assuming it means between paying taxes and then also like spending money on like the local economy. I'm assuming that's what economic activity means. Yeah, it says economic impact. So that's going to mean like, hey, if they spend $10 on a fucking hamburger, that money goes through the economy. But yeah, sure. I mean, that's a good way to engage things. You know, they may not pay as many taxes as they consume because they're disproportionately poor. But that's okay. They still contribute significantly to our the economic health of our country through circulating money through the economy, because they spend money, and they spend the majority of the money that they make because they're poor, unlike rich people who wealth hoard money, and they have a not particularly positive impact in that regard.
In Asmongold's Looney Tune-ass world, that's a drain. Okay, but what about welfare? There's a talking point floating around that 81% of Somali households are on welfare.
I think that is true, but who cares?
This is misleading. The correct statistic is that 81% of Somali households have used at least one public assistance program, most commonly health care or food support. What's also left out is that Somali migration to the United States has largely been refugee migration, not economic immigration. Refugees arrive with few resources after fleeing war, so the type of welfare they utilize is temporary public assistance as part of the United States Refugee Resettlement Policy. See?
He's not going to care about that. He's still going to go, oh, they're on welfare.
It's right here. But what is the cost of that welfare, I'm hearing you ask? Well, we have that information too, directly from the ASPE, and I quote, refugees and asylees contributed more revenue than they cost in expenditures to the government. Oh, the sign is on the screen.
The net fiscal impact of refugees and asylum seekers, I'm assuming that means, was positive over the 15-year period. Oh, that's 15 years. It's not really going to do anything for us today. At 123.8 billion. That means that refugees and asylees contribute more revenue than they cost in expenditures to the government. The net fiscal benefit of the federal government was estimated at 31.5 billion, and the net fiscal benefit to the state and local 92.3 billion. Oh, they're not talking about the amount of tax money that they make. They're talking about the money that that goes to the government. Sure, I agree with that. It's not like explicitly tax money though. That's like money cycling through the system, which is true. Sure.
Zach, you can interject with your bullshit cope now.
I don't think that he's going to understand what you're saying. He's going to say like, oh, they don't pay that much money in taxes. You're lying. This is a misleading statistic. But it seems like we're talking about money going through the economy by like spending money on things. And then he's going to bring up fraud and how you didn't factor that in and that's their fault and all this other stuff. And he's going to say that the entire collective it should be to blame for the fraud.
But I'm very curious what you're going to say. My guess is this data that directly comes from the United States government is biased somehow. Anyway, it doesn't matter because since the government began analyzing fiscal impacts by immigration status, the data has consistently shown that immigrants and their descendants contribute more in taxes over the long term than they receive in public benefits.
Every year since 1994, when data collection began, immigrants have paid more in taxes than they received in benefits from the federal and state. Well, that's not like refugee immigrants, but I mean, sure. Local government's fiscal benefit have contributed to the rise. Okay. I mean, if he understands the statistic, he's just gonna say like, well, we're not just talking about all immigrants. We're talking about like asylum seekers. It's probably not the case for asylum seekers. Again, I don't care. I still think that they're a net positive impact, but that's probably what he would deflect to at that point. Because we're talking about like legal, illegal, any classification, like financial classification. They could be rich, they could be poor, they could be anything. So
economic estimates place their net fiscal contribution at over $14 trillion, meaning immigration has significantly strengthened the U.S. tax base rather than draining it.
Sure. Is this taxes? What is this exactly? Immigrants have paid more in taxes than... Oh, this is just general taxes. Is this a collection of state, local, or state, federal, and then sales tax? I mean, I'm sure it's just interesting. I'm assuming that's what it's taking into effect.
Significantly strengthen the U.S. tax base rather than draining it. When it comes to the United States, you are wrong.
Ooh, got him.
Now let's talk about the UK. There are even less Somali people in the UK than there
Let's talk about something that's more like you gay. Fuck the UK, you know what I'm saying, guys?
Are in the United States, accounting for 1/3% of the resident population. The overwhelming majority of British Somali people speak English as their first language, with over 74% of
they better, you know what I'm saying?
those who don't speak English as a first language stating they spoke English well, demonstrating that the majority of Somali people are integrating into British society, at least based off their language skills.
Well, he's going to talk about like what him and his orbiters call Somali rape gangs, which I don't think is real, although I won't lie, different cultures have a lot of times a more regressive view on sexual assault, but I don't think that there are massive rape gangs going around doing things. That is a reflection of every single Somali person that immigrates there. 66%
of British Somalis report having good health, and you see a natural decline as one ages, which is expected for all human populations. British Somalis are less likely to be employed compared to the rest of the population due to a couple of factors as outlined by this same census report. Higher unemployment among Somalis in the UK mostly comes down to the fact that many arrived as refugees after Somalia's civil war in the 90s, not economic migrants. A lot of first-generation arrivals had disrupted schooling, limited English, or job credentials that didn't transfer to the UK. On top of that, the population itself is very young, meaning a large chunk of that are still in school or just entering the workforce. As those barriers
That would make sense, especially in Western countries. People tend to go into the workforce later than in other countries. So,
and the second generation grows up with UK education and language skills, employment rates tend to improve, something that's pretty common with all refugee communities. All of this data suggests that Somalis are a relatively normal immigrant population that doesn't produce an inherent drain on their host country simply due to them being Somali. Just like in the United States, they contribute positively overall to the economic framework of the country, and we have examples of the Somali population revitalizing neglected commercial areas in cities like Birmingham and Cardiff. Looks like you're 0 for 2 there, Zach, but I'm sure Japan will surely save your argument, right?
well, I mean, he gets most of his information from Twitter, so he's just not going to acknowledge it. He's going to say, if he actually watched it, which I doubt he will, but he'll say something like, oh, well, you're not acknowledging all the stuff I saw on Twitter about Somali rape gangs or other things or other people complaining without verified sources. That's mostly what happens. That's what his response would be. Again, like a lot of these people, like Asmongold, their brain is like hardline linked to Twitter at this point. They don't think for themselves. It's like an extension of their brain. Twitter tells them what to think because it's constantly beaming information into their brains. And it's outrage farm information. And they sit on there all day and they get radicalized by an algorithm that wants to excite them rather than to educate them. Very negative excitement, but that's the whole point here. That's what the algorithm does to them.
Here is a map of the global distribution of the Somali diaspora by country. You might notice that Japan is gray. Well, this is because there are fewer than 500 Somali individuals in Japan, with the best estimates we have ranging from about 100 to 300 individuals, most of whom are students. In a country whose 120...
Yeah, it's interesting because like I wouldn't have expected there to be a lot of Somali immigrants in Japan because Japan isn't exactly big on immigration. So I was like confused when he even said it in the first place. But I was like, all right, whatever.
4 million population is 98% homogenous. I'm sure the 300 Somalis in Japan are total drains on the economy. I'm sorry. I tend to laugh at really fucking stupid bullshit. It's an allergy that I have. Asmongold fans, ask yourself why Zach just made a claim for which there is literally zero evidence. I urge any of you to type this into Google, asking it, what is the population number for Somalis in Japan? And you'll see something like this pop up, where there exists literally no census data on Somalis in Japan. So, dear Asmongold viewer, how in the fuck did Zach know Somalis are an economic drain in Japan when not even
No, I don't think he knew anything. I think he saw it on Twitter.
Japan knows that information? Sounds like someone is pushing a narrative, doesn't it?
I kind of disagree that on that. I feel like Asmongold is just grifting because he knows what he's talking about. IMO Twitter is kind of a dumb argument. I don't know what that means. What? I kind of disagree on that. I feel like Asmongold is just gritting because he knows what he's talking about. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay, I don't even know if I should have read that. That was not really like a thorough thought. If you want to resend it again.
So why would you bring in all of these people that have such a high rate of there being a negative outcome? Why would you ever do that? It's stupid.
Sounds like Zach is describing Westerners visiting Japan, doesn't it? Anyway, this is...
Well, it sounds like a very like low IQ interpretation of what is and is not beneficial. Like he's saying, well, because they're on welfare, that makes them bad for society. That's pretty much like, that's a lot of conservatives. They think like that because they're very stupid. It's not good for people to be on welfare. Like it's not ideal. Let's say it's not ideal for people to be on welfare, but what if welfare has a net positive impact on us, right? If you have poor people on welfare, which is a necessary system. I mean, welfare is, by all accounts, the agreement from, the rich, from billionaires. That's them asking us not to radicalize and revolutionize against them, right? They're giving us the bare minimum as they extract our resources and they, find tax loopholes and they, leverage their net worth to take out loans instead of paying themselves any money so that they can avoid, income tax. But being on welfare, you are basically just getting money to go and spend. And you don't have a lot of money, so you're spending most of it. You're not saving any of it. So like, oh, I got a couple $100 from, you know, the federal government this month. What am I going to do? I'm going to spend it on food. Usually it's through food stamps. And that money goes through the system, right? Like, so if we just took away everybody's welfare, all of a sudden you're not going to have a fucking job. Cashier jobs are going to disappear. Truck driving jobs are going to disappear. All these different jobs are going to disappear because now we have less people putting money through the system. So like, that's why, you know, it's very low IQ take to just decide that, oh, because people are on welfare, that makes it an instantaneous loss. You know, I do think people should try to get off welfare, but it's difficult at this time in our country because we don't have a lot of economic mobility.
Is an appeal to emotion, a logical fallacy, and he's doing this because he doesn't have empirical data to support his conclusions. He's tying in multiple different concepts to scare you into objecting to immigration. He even brings up female genital mutilation.
Do you want to know what the percentage of women who are victims of female genital mutilation are in Somalia?
Not good.
99%.
That's really it's terrible. You know, we do that in America, like very common practice, right? For young boys, like circumcision is male genital mutilation, and it's just the reason I bring it up is it's just interesting the way that we look at things. I think that circumcision is the best example in the West of looking at something that is a barbaric practice that is so normalized in America. Or in our Western culture, because you look at other countries, you go like, wow, their practices are barbaric, and that's probably true. And then you guys will be like, well, no, this one's different though. This one's different. Like you really need to cut the tip of a baby's penis off. Like it has to happen. Well, it's cleaner, right? It's cleaner to not have that. Well, it's, you know, you wouldn't get any cavities if you didn't have any teeth, right? Why don't you just take all your teeth out? You don't understand what I'm saying, right? So it's a barbaric practice of genital mutilation that we do, but it's normal in our society, and that's it. And you should just think about that. You should think about like, well, why is that normal? That is actually a strange practice. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to circumcise my kid. Probably going to because my wife's going to want to. But it's something that you should keep in mind. You know, you guys like to look at every other culture, and you think that our culture is perfect. It's still very normal for us to, you know, cut the tips of babies' penises off. It's fucking crazy.
I'm not kidding.
See? He did.
What I meant to say is Twitter didn't groom him to the right wing. I feel like he's just grifting because he knows he can't get to the left-wing audience. Oh, maybe. I mean, that's possible. Maybe he is like completely grifting. That is also possible. That's fair. Like maybe you just think he's grifting and he's not manipulated by Twitter. I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. I think Twitter has manipulated a lot of people. I also don't feel bad for stupid people who get manipulated by Twitter. It's kind of on you. You know, turn it off. But yeah, maybe.
Did say that.
It's totally possible. It's totally possible. Or maybe that's just his shield to say like, oh no, it's Twitter. I mean, I'm the one saying it though, but yeah.
The problem with his claims is that we have a control group already in the United States, the Somali American population. First of all, Somali immigrants overall are incarcerated less than native-born Americans, period. And while we're on the topic of
oh, so you're saying they're not cool?
Somali females, Zach's claim about female genital mutilation is true, but again, he's forgetting we have a control group that refutes his conclusion. This is a study highlighting the fact that upon immigrating to a new host country where the practice is frowned upon and or illegal, migrants change their attitudes on female genital mutilation. And yes, the study refers specifically to Somalis in Western countries, stating plainly that the overwhelming majority of Somali immigrants become opponents of the practice.
That would make sense. I don't even know why they would do it in the first place in their country. I'm assuming some kind of religious thing.
Sounds like integration, don't it? This is once again an example of Zach acknowledging a causal factor, but actively attempting to block the mechanism that would change the behavior. This is a form of concern trolling, where Zach doesn't give a fuck about female genital mutilation.
What is the reason that they do it in the first place? Like, is it a religious component? I'm only assuming it's religious because we do it religiously in America. It's like I think it's a Jewish thing, and now it's just cultural. Pretty sure. Wow.
But pretends he does so that
I can't really see a reason why.
That he can use this as a reason to block immigration, while simultaneously not realizing that immigration would actually save women from this practice. Any other half-truth you want to scare us with, Zach?
Well, I mean, he doesn't care about that, which is bizarre because he was saved from a life of poverty through our welfare system. It's very strange the interaction this person has with the world.
'Cause I got time today.
If you look up the World Health Organization, and they have a study on this, 99% of women in Somalia are victims of female genital mutilation.
But what about the ones that aren't in Somalia? Wouldn't that be the question you're supposed to ask at this point?
I don't want to import that culture into my country. I don't want to take the risk that I'm importing that culture into my country. I don't want them here.
Whoa.
At all.
This guy,
This guy says my country as if like his average values are reflected by any normal person. What the fuck are you talking about? Jeez, this is the guy who was making fun of the Marine who was like, hey, we shouldn't be dying for Israel's causes. And Asmongold's like, this guy's an idiot. He deserved to have his arm broken. It's like, okay, what culture are you engaging in? I don't understand. What's your culture? At your lowest, you are a welfare dependent. At your highest, you're basically grifting for fucking money online. Like, I don't understand. You are a net loss. If you didn't exist in our society, we would be better off. Same thing with me, man. But I could actually get a real job, so he can't.
Literal, self-described scientific racist.
What does that have to do with whether it's right or not? You're calling somebody a word.
Whoa.
What does that have to do with this?
Guys, is racism actually good? My name is Asmongold.
You see, Zach, you're watching a video essay where I, the essayist, present a thesis or multiple theses and then support that thesis with, hopefully,
I took multiple feces today, I'll tell you that.
A bevy of evidence. One of the theses of this video was that this claim that you are spreading is a racist claim. In order to prove that, I explained the origins of that claim, that being purposefully bad data collection from a self-proclaimed racist whose goal was to show that black people are inferior to white people. There exists no nationally representative study performed on the IQ of Somali people in Somalia.
Well, yeah, I think he even said, though, he's like, why don't you guys do it then? Something like that. That's Asmongold's typical talking point. He's like, why don't they do it? They're afraid. So I was like, you do it, dude. If Asmongold thinks that he'll get some kind of magical information, why don't you do it? You put the study together. You get people together. You pay people. You're a billionaire. Do it. Start a study. Take your money and do a study about how bad immigrants are. And how low IQ they have, apparently. Like, just do it. Put your money where your mouth is. So he won't do it because he knows he's fucking stupid. He knows he'll lose his money and he'll look like a fucking moron.
Lynn's data was extrapolated from neighboring regions, notably from refugee children in a camp in Kenya, and then he randomly decided to use that data for other unrelated countries because to him, the thousands of ethnic groups in Africa are all the same. Malnourished children in refugee camps. So, the tweet you made is a number that doesn't exist because they never tested Somalis in Somalia, you dolt. Because you are pausing the video before I can finish my thought, all you heard was your trigger word, and that caused you to completely miss the point. What's funny about this is you're a fucking hypocrite. You literally do exactly what you just attempted to criticize me for later in this stream, where you show me arguing with racists on Twitter and stupidly conclude that I'm racist against white people.
He
based? What?
complains about racism and he makes videos negative.
This part was so funny because Asmongold pulled up tweets from this guy and he pretends somebody in the chat gave it to him. He's like, oh wait, there's a bunch of tweets that will specifically support exactly what I'm saying and help me dismiss his argument? What the fuck? I knew it. How convenient. No, dude, you pre-watched. Just stop being a pussy. Just fucking admit it.
Videos about Charlie Kirk.
Oh, Charlie Kirk, dude.
And then he goes on Twitter.
Charlie's work, maybe?
And he's just profoundly racist towards white people. And he
yeah, man, I can't handle being... Don't be racist against me, guys. It's sad stuff.
crashes out and complains about them.
Think about that for a second. I'm arguing against racism, and your conclusion was that I hate white people. Sounds like you think all white people are racist.
Apparently the person got suspended on Twitter for racism, which is probably means they're being racist then. Since Twitter loves racism. No, you only use per capita as a fig leaf for your low IQ racist narratives. You don't understand that per capita is used for. Only absolute numbers matter for law enforcement. If white people commit the most crime, trying to call black people criminals makes no sense. See, I don't know what your point is here. I don't really understand what the point is. I don't think that this exonerates you. It doesn't seem like you're being racist to white people in this tweet. It just, it doesn't matter. I don't really know. It seems more like a cope, I guess. I mean, I don't think black people are more violent, you know? I mean, we literally imperialize the world as white people, so nothing more violent than that. But I don't really know what the context of this tweet is supposed to be. It sounds like you're arguing with fucking morons on Twitter.
Zach, This man was part of a secret eugenics conference where, and I'm not joking, there were people favorably arguing in favor of pedophilia. So
that's obviously bad, but you know what's even worse?
What's worse than pedophilia, Asmongold?
It's probably the fact that pedophilia is normalized over in Somalia.
Yeah. Asmongold, Trump is a pedophile. I don't know what you're talking. Well, probably. I got to say probably because technically it's not proven. I mean, him not releasing the Epstein list, client list because he's on it, probably. Him being best friends with Epstein, those are probably not enough to say he's a pedophile confidently. You know, I don't know. You, however, downplayed your friend Lakari jerking off to CSAM, said that he just has a porn addiction. So I don't know which one of you guys. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
If you're going to act like that's bad, why don't you look at what they're doing? Look at whenever they're getting married.
Zach is overreaching with this claim. Somalia doesn't normalize PDF files.
Say pedophilia. What the fuck?
What he's trying but failing to articulate is that Somalia has a child marriage problem.
Well, that is kind of pedophilia. So, but then again, the type of Christianity that Asmongold and people in his orbit advocate for would include child marriage. Like unironically, that's the type of Christian like a lot of people in the MAGA sphere are. Child marriage should be okay. Age of consent should be when they feel like the person is mature enough, which could be, 14, 15. There are even some that think that age of consent is a trap. I'm not saying, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that this is all religious people. It's just the type of religious person in MAGA, especially in the online sphere. This is something that I think is important for people to acknowledge. I don't really know what the age of consent in Somalia is, though. I imagine that they have a much more regressive take on age of consent in Somalia. Well, apparently 45% of girls in Somalia marry before the age of 18. And 8% marry before 15. That's fucking crazy. It still won't give me an explicit age of consent. But it still seems like there is a problem. For sure. I don't know why it doesn't give me a fucking age of consent when I Google it, though. It's weird.
These are two distinct concepts because in this context, the child marriage that occurs in Somalia is largely between older teenagers and someone in their early 20s. Granted,
It's pretty gross still.
don't condone this practice, but marriage in Somalia is often arranged by the two families, so that is not a case of someone being attracted to a prepubescent, but a society following very old customs based around marriage after one has gone through puberty. This is the same logic that 34 states in the United States currently follow. I mean, the state Asmongold is from is the 10th ranked state in child marriage, with nearly 40,000 child marriages registered in a 15-year span. But I digress. I'm certain PDF files do occur in Somalia, as they do in literally every society on Earth. But Zach is hoping you all won't know the difference between these two concepts because, once again, his goal is to push a narrative. It's also not even a refutation. I stated in my video that Lynn was a part of a secret society where members attempted to normalize child sexual abuse, further demonstrating that Lynn is not a source you want to be citing, as his discernment is clearly questionable.
Oh, that's fair. That makes sense. I mean, if Asmongold is willing to hate Somalia because he thinks they have a pedophile problem, then he should hate the guy that he's basically referencing his statistic from, though.
We are not talking about underage marriage that might have been arranged due to certain cultural customs. We are talking about old men in a Western country actively wanting to sodomize children while they were sleeping.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
So nice try, but failed whataboutism. Yeah, this is the guy Asmongold is quoting. Lynn published a paper in 1982 called IQ in Africa in the pseudoscientific journal.
I love this. Yes.
The Mankind Quarterly, a white supremacist outlet that is currently...
See, he's trying to poison the well by...
He's trying to poison the well by calling a racist, dude.
Saying that things are pseudoscientific, saying they're white supremacist, etc. You're not actually attacking the argument.
You are. I mean, if you think white supremacy is bad, that is attacking the argument because you're saying you have a massive bias against people of color, so you're looking for an answer and you're weaponizing statistics to try to find that answer like Asmongold does. Again, when he says that other countries have a lower IQ, he's trying to say that that is inherent onto the people because of their skin color and their ethnicity. their race and ethnicity, right? Like that's weaponizing a statistic, and he's downplaying the significance that education, food, healthy environments have on growth. So
you're not actually attacking anything that's being said.
And you're not actually listening to the argument. First of all, you literally have the video paused where it clearly states the journal is pseudoscientific. Your attempt at claiming
well, he thinks that everything is a conspiracy against him and his like white victim complex. But I also found it funny because at some point Asmongold's like, "Oh, why don't you show some data, some statistics on the screen?" Meanwhile, this guy's always showing fucking data and statistics on the screen.
Poisoning the well because I'm literally communicating what the literature says is only convincing no one. Second, this is a video essay where one of the theses is that the person whose claim you're using is not doing actual science. Specifically mentioning that he published his findings in a pseudoscientific journal tells you everything you need to know. There's a reason Lin couldn't survive peer review and had to publish in fringe publications. He was widely
well, again, he's just going to say, well, it's because everybody, basically, racism is real, and all those people are just buying into a woke liberal narrative. That's what these types of people say. Asmongold's a freak, dude.
Credited on this topic.
That's one of the things, like, it's such an unfortunate thing, but like, obviously you should refute people like Asmongold with facts and logic, but you should also refute them by just like calling them ugly and just laughing at them and calling them fucking stupid. Because they're stupid racists that are genetically inferior but think that they're superior, and somehow it's always the ugliest, dumbest, fucking least worthwhile fucking white people that are race realists and supremacists. And you could sit here and you could be like, hey, you're dumb, here's all the facts as to why, as much as possible. You can do that all day, but people like Asmongold and his followers, they don't care about the reality of the world. They care about their feelings, and conspiracies make their feelings feel better, and so they can embrace them fully and specifically. And so, like, yeah, refute them with facts, because there are people who are factually driven, and you should make sure that you always do that as well, but also throw in some making fun of them too, because they're disgusting. They're disgusting fucking losers, and they really have no place inside of the United States. They should go to another country, because everything that they advocate for, people like Asmongold advocate for the reduction of rights across the board, for brown people, for women, for gay people, for trans people, etc., and then they complain that all these other countries that have all those things implemented, lack of power for gay people and trans people and women and children, etc. He always he wants that country. He wants that. He speaks negatively to other countries and says they're regressive. And then he says all the things about America that need to change should change, which would just reflect all these regressive countries that he speaks against. It makes no sense. Like, he wants to live in a third world country. The laws that Asmongold would advocate for, they're laws from like third world countries. He's a walking contradiction. He makes no fucking sense with any of the things that he says. I don't even know if he cares about that or not. That's his entire reality.
Again, because this is a video essay, I'm going to later support my claims, which I did by showing a study by Wichards debunking Lin's claims. This is pseudoscience. This is why he published in a pseudoscientific journal. Real science survives scrutiny and has results that are replicable. Pseudoscience has to hide because it's bullshit. You are repeating bullshit.
You're assigning.
Also, when you get worked up a little bit at at the things that Asmongold is saying, express it more productively. Like, don't get loud. It's not like really even worth it, because they're fucking half trolling. Like, his calm demeanor. It's like, oh, see, he's right because he's calm. He's dumb as fuck, dude.
Negative variables and negative attributes to it, and then hoping that people, because of those negative variables and attributes that you're assigning to it, will assume that it's wrong because they're not supposed to agree with things that have these attributes. That's
chat. Is it based to agree with racism?
what he's doing. It's dishonest.
It's dishonest. That's what he's doing. He sounds like such a fucking dork, dude. Holy shit.
You mean things?
That's what he's doing. He just sounds like such a fucking dweeb, bro. Holy fuck.
That the scientific community has rejected? Yes, I do expect the audience to default to the experts on a topic, listen to what the experts say, and understand what a scientific consensus is.
What about the sexperts, dude? What do they think?
If all of the scientific community has rejected this claim, what exactly do you expect me to do here?
Well, I mean, Asmongold doesn't exist in the scientific community. They don't think global warming is real because they don't want to. They don't want to. I don't even know what they don't want to do. I guess they want to like inhale the exhaust out of a car. They think that's healthy, I guess. I don't know. Because like it's so obviously fucking real, dude.
Are you arguing that we should listen to flat earthers just because they've made a claim? People have already done this work, and the person you're quoting has been debunked and discredited
Damn, debunked by the woke liberals? What the fuck?
already. But I do understand what you're trying to do here, Asmongold. People have labeled you all manner of unsavory things, and you're attempting to refute those claims against you by using me and my video as a proxy. You know, the old, you called me racist, but am I wrong technique that only works on extremely stupid people. Again, this is literally something you
Just like Trump, I think Asmongold loves stupid people.
do
I love the uneducated, baby.
to me later in
I love the uneducated.
this stream.
I agree with that because the more calm Asmongold sounds, the more his fans believe he's right. Yeah, that's one of the things is that that's something you really need to keep in mind is that a lot of audiences, like a lot of conservative audiences, like audiences of Asmongold or Andrew Wilson, they're not responding to like the facts of what's being said. You know, like Andrew Wilson's audience will respond very positively to constant comparisons to raping children and incest, and it's very strange, and abusing women. He's not right. He's just confident in how he sounds because a lot of these conservative audiences, they love jingling keys. And so it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. Like how you can call a baby a literal racial slur, but if you say it in a really nice voice, the baby will giggle and they'll laugh and they'll clap and they'll enjoy it. And so you have to understand like the jingling keys condition. A lot of it's very emotional. They feel good, not necessarily just by the words, but also by how the words are said. So if you say something incredibly dumb and racist and borderline pedophilic or, you know, whatever, and you say it in a nice, confident way, they guess I like that. Yeah, I feel good, you know. That's what it is. We have to keep that in mind.
Maintained by the
That was a weird delay now on his video.
hilariously named Human Diversity Foundation.
Because there's diversity between humans. That's correct.
Whoa. Okay.
What the fuck was that?
That didn't even mean anything. I remember listening to that, like, what the fuck does that mean? There's diversity between you. He's just saying something. That's like saying, like, yeah, so there's the thing called Pop-Tarts. Yeah, they call it that because they're tart. It's like, well, they're not, but you know, that's pretty much it. There was no valuable commentary. It wasn't funny. He wasn't trying to even be funny. He was just saying something to say something. It was so weird.
What are these weird tics you have where you just say random
That's true too. You can call a baby a racial slur and you can go a huge GoFundMe. True. Epic racism.
things? You didn't refute anything, nor did you clarify why their name isn't ironic, which is what I was pointing out. You know you can just shut the fuck up and let the video play, right?
I don't know that personally. Couldn't be me, dude. Couldn't be me.
Far-right white nationalist company.
Again, like none of this has anything to do with whether this is a good or an accurate thing at all.
Hey guys, racism, bad. Yeah, that's part of it. It's just, again, the whole point is if you have a massive racial bias where you think that certain groups of people are inferior for this color of their skin, you're looking for something that aligns with that, and so you're trying to find information that's going to agree with you. You're not necessarily finding information and putting it out there. You're trying to find information that agrees with you, or you're trying to warp information to make it seem like it agrees with you, so you can push a racial narrative. It's a bias. That's the entire point of what's being said.
Incredible. I am making the
Incredible
case
stuff.
that these false talking points are being spread specifically due to racism, and Asmongold doesn't think it's relevant that the people spreading them are openly racist. You can't make this shit up.
And again, I want to take a step back. It's environmental, it's educational. Whoa. There is also the factor of inbreeding, which is massive.
Whoa, like Fortnite Ninja?
All of these things have nothing to do with race, and they're still all factors for IQ. Okay. So,
but you don't seem to think that they're enough of a factor to be meaningful, or else you wouldn't be saying these things.
What's happening is that you just have a person who's throwing a bunch of buzzwords at it to hopefully get people to disagree with what's being said.
I have no idea what the fuck that even means.
Irony, which is one of...
It's funny that Asmongold can acknowledge that there are so many different factors that determine like IQ and outcome, and he just hyper focuses on the race one. He thinks that's the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The most important thing is like your race, or your, you know, that's the whole point. Or else you'd have to concede that if educated America, they would have significantly better outcomes and provide better outcomes for our country.
The points I was making in the video, so double irony.
You're trying to shut down conversation, and you have to keep in mind, let's go back and talk about that eugenics conference that was banned. The reason why these things are banned is because research into this topic isn't allowed.
Asmongold is lying to you. Contrary to popular belief, there isn't an overarching body controlling scientists. Literally anyone can conduct a study into these topics.
Asmongold, conduct a study, dude. Come on. Conduct a study, Asmongold.
I mean, we are literally discussing a person that did. The problem is, these claims don't stand up to peer review. Third-party scrutiny is a core tenet of the scientific method. You conduct your study and then submit it for other scientists to attempt to replicate your work. If they can, it gets published and becomes a part of the scientific consensus. If they can't, they explain why they can't replicate those results, and it doesn't get accepted into the scientific consensus.
Sounds like a bias to me, dude. Sounds like a woke liberal bias.
People like Asmongold who preach fringe pseudoscience think that other scientists debunking these claims is akin to not being allowed to conduct these studies. It's just not true. Either Zach knows this and is lying to his audience to push a narrative, or he doesn't and should probably stop publicly embarrassing himself on a topic of which he's completely ignorant.
That's what he's doing. It's dishonest.
Damn. Look at this guy.
Himself on a topic of which he's completely ignorant.
That's what he's doing.
Dude, he looks horrible. I'm not even trying to be like rude or anything. He looks like a non-recovering addict right now. That's fucking crazy, bro. We're the same age and I look fucking swole, dude. This is what happens, bro. When you're fucking a loser, chud, conservative racist, you get fucking mogged by fat, sexy liberals. I'm telling you, dude. You're mogging yourself, bro. You got to get your health together, dog. Like, unironically, Asmongold, you got to get your fucking health together, man. Like, you're struggling, dude. You know, I mean, I know I'm fat, but you look horrible, man. Jesus Christ. Get it together, dude. Oh my, I would have thought that was somebody filtering you. Holy shit. You look sickly. Have some broccoli, dog.
It's dishonest.
It's dishonest.
You have to keep in mind that the father that invented DNA, or not invented, excuse me, discovered DNA, was effectively had his entire career destroyed because he said that there's a chance that there could be a racial basis for where IQ
Just like a chance.
is coming from.
Whoa.
As if we needed any more, this is proof that Asmongold doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. The person that discovered DNA was Friedrich Miescher.
I think there are two people who discovered DNA.
A man who said literally nothing about IQ tests because he died 10 years before the very first IQ tests were developed. It's infinitely hilarious to me.
We're talking about a different guy. Who did the guy who discovered DNA, was he racist? That's a great sentence. Was the guy who discovered DNA racist? James Watson, who co-discovered the double helix structure, has a long history of making racist, sexist, and eugenicist remarks. That's who he's talking about.
That people actually thought Asmongold won this interaction with me, because that means they're stupider than he is. Zach is talking about James Watson.
Whoa! I said that.
One of a couple of scientists who figured out that DNA has a double helix structure.
Couple is 2, by the way. Tell that to my wife. She thinks a couple is like 3 or 4. Pisses me the fuck off. You know? I said if a couple's 3 or 4, then let's become a couple. She smacked me. She circumcised me after that. So now I'm an inch down. It's terrible stuff.
Structure, not the person who discovered DNA. Do you see how easily this man spreads misinformation? Zach also claims that Watson's claims about IQ derailed his career. Watson made his remarks in 2007 when he was 79 years old after...
Damn, he had another couple of good years. They say 79 is the new 34. And you'd actually know that if you looked at Zach. He looks 79.
A 40-year career. He himself stated his retirement was overdue and attributed to his
That's what I'm saying. A few would be 3. Yes, that's what I'm saying. My wife doesn't fucking agree with that. It pisses me off.
Old age. But Asmongold would have you believe that this man lost his career because of his racist claims.
Good. Who cares if he did? Why the fuck would I care? A guy. Did you know somebody lost their career because they were saying racist stuff? Oh, no. No, I don't give a fuck. Why the fuck would I even care? It's not even something I will ever be sympathetic to. Like, is that supposed? Like, I don't understand. Like, what kind of like weird freak do you think I am? Where if you're like, yeah, some dude thinks that like black people are inferior. He lost his job. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Why do I care about that? That type of mentality is what led to like every single genocide of every single person forever and always in our society. If you feel free to be racist, but don't feel comfortable, you're going to lose your job. You should lose your job. I don't give a fuck about you. What the hell is that? You know? There's a difference between accidentally saying a word when you were winning your video game, but another one of your teammates threw, versus having like unironically like being actually racist. So I don't care. I mean, I know we live in a weird time where we have this like strange virtue signal of freedom of speech. And I think freedom of speech is real. It's real. You should have freedom of speech. But these people want freedom of consequences as well. That's what it is. It's about freedom of consequences. Right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, dude. That's what the whole thing is about.
But he's leaving out, he's talking about an 80-year-old man who had done basically everything he was ever going to do. He's also leaving out that Watson was a flaming bigot.
Whoa! Why you gotta call him gay?
That things like there should be fewer women in science, disparaged his female colleague Rosalind Franklin, who was as integral to understanding DNA as he was, and made numerous racist remarks. Isn't it funny that every person Asmongold promotes or quotes is among the worst people you've ever heard of?
That guy looks like shit.
And so the reason why there isn't a lot of research or information in this is because there is a wrong answer. And it's basically politicized science that has been effectively co-opted by activists that will not let people
that's what I've been saying,
have a conversation about this topic at all.
Let me just have a conversation. Chat, let's have a conversation. I think black people are inferior. That's the conversation you want to have, Asmongold. Why the fuck would anybody have that conversation with you, you fucking doofus? That's what you want to have. It's so funny. They pretend that they're just so normal. I just want to have a conversation about what? I don't think gay people should be able to get married. Okay, fuck off, loser. Like why even entertain that conversation? We need more shame. Bully people. Don't bully people. These people are fucking losers, dude.
That's the reason what's going on.
Hue of sub-Saharan Africa.
The guy's a critical drinker, generational hater. What is this?
What is this? What is this? I didn't know about this until just now. He was bro, this guy has a fucking Word document. There's nobody in his chat said that. He has like a fucking notepad document full of a bunch of stuff to bring up and like to pretend like, wait a minute. This thing? What? That's it. Asmongold was freaking out. He saw somebody criticize him, so he watched the video offline. And then he came up with a bunch of like narratives that he was going to be able to push like afterwards. That was his whole strategy, dude. We know it already. Stop pretending.
Pull this up.
Let me pull this up. I didn't even know about this. I just let random people put links in my chat. It's not real.
So someone in Zach's chat sends him a montage of me using low IQ as an insult, which he plays all the way through. I'll fast forward to his actual reaction to this. Drinker is
anyway, so this is the person who's making a video of me talking about IQs.
IQs.
Huh. It sure seems like he cares a lot about IQ, actually.
Ooh.
This was the part of the live stream.
Owned him! Well, he never said he didn't care about IQ, so he just said you were low IQ.
That confused me. What was that reaction to this montage? What was that montage supposed to even prove? You show me calling people low IQ as an insult. Okay. And?
He's decided that in this moment, your take was actually that IQ doesn't matter. That was like that's the inference, would you say, there? Trying to like make it seem like you were saying IQ doesn't even matter at all, even though your whole point was that like IQ isn't based on like skin color or whatever. So he's just doing a dishonesty guy thing. You know what I mean? That's how intelligent, huh?
Yes, that is a thing that I do and will continue to do. Me saying you are using a debunked racist talking point has nothing to do with me using an insult. Your very argument is that Somali people being low IQ is a fact. The people I call low IQ aren't necessarily low IQ. I'm just calling them stupid.
Are you bullying people, dude? Bullying is so wrong.
It's called figurative language. So if you're attempting to call out hypocrisy here, conflating criticism of your position with my jokes, then you're undermining your own argument claiming Somalis are factually low IQ. Unless, of course, you're going to argue that every time you call someone dumb, you're referring to them being unable to speak, which is the original meaning of that word.
And also keep in mind, none of these were arguments. None of this was an argument at all.
I'm amazed that you can make that determination based on clips that were taken out of their context from videos you've never seen. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? This is literally the first of my videos you've ever actually watched. How the fuck do you know those weren't arguments? You watched a clip montage, silly. Their
We got him with the silly, dude.
point was to show me using low IQ as an insult, likely because they are under the impression that I'm one of those people that is afraid of using bad words.
I don't like using bad words. I'm not afraid. Some of them I'm afraid of using. I want you to find out because they're particularly bad.
Trust me, you got the wrong guy.
Ooh, he's dark woke. He's dark woke.
Was around 70. Notice I said
Wait,
Sue
what?
of sub-Saharan Africa was around. In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of sub-Saharan Africa was around 70.
Okay.
Notice I said
Okay.
sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, Lynn's argument was that a continent that consists of about 50 countries all had a similar very low IQ.
Okay. All of the European countries have similar IQs. All of the Asian countries have similar IQs.
Well, yeah, but they're all educated. The same. Wait a minute. There are some. There are places, contrary to Asmongold belief, that have education inside of Africa. I remember when I watched this video, I pulled up like different African cities and because he called them. He said that they all just had mud huts. So I brought up, different areas that they are very developed areas. Because they exist in Africa. There are developed areas in Africa. They're not all mud huts. Okay.
This tracks.
You're repeating Richard Lynn's claims again. It's true that neighboring countries in the West often show similar average test scores, but that pattern is explained by shared environmental factors like education systems, economic development, and nutrition. Lynn's claim was that those differences are genetic, and that interpretation is not supported by the evidence. Tell the class, Asmongold, what is the IQ of a North Korean peasant? They're East Asian, sandwiched between two economically impressive countries in China and South Korea, and they're genetically identical to South Koreans. What's their IQ?
Oh, okay, but if I say that two different black guys look the same, I'm racist. Apparently, okay, I get it now, dude. I get it. I guess anti-white racism. Am I right, guys?
Well, we're waiting.
In this instance, I am criticizing Lynn for doing bad science, where he uses data he collected from malnourished refugee children in a camp in Kenya and other bad collection methods in places like Ethiopia to represent the thousands of ethnic groups in the 50 countries of Africa. On its face, that is an insane thing to repeat as if it's a fact, and it's incredible to me that anyone with a working brain can't see how utterly ridiculous that is. What never gets said in these discussions is that Lynn excluded data that showed when Africans had higher IQ scores, because it didn't fit his narrative.
Damn. I can't believe a racist guy would lie about how smart black people were. I never would have thought that, dude.
This is what racism does to you. It causes you to believe the stupidest shit imaginable simply because the hate in your heart wants it to be true.
Yeah.
The obvious problem with this argument is that
This
Africa
is an average.
is huge, and there are over 1 billion people with over 1,000 different ethnic groups. Nigeria alone has more than 200 ethnic groups, and that's a single country. Do you think Lynn tested every ethnic group in Nigeria, let alone...
Do you think that one of them is going to have a higher IQ than people in China?
Like, what does that matter? Do you have a higher IQ than people in China? Like, doesn't China have a higher IQ overall than us? What is the point of that statement? What do we get out of that statement? Nobody's like, you don't have to have the highest IQ. The whole point is like, hey, would their IQs be significantly higher if they had better opportunities? But I guess we'll just pretend otherwise.
This is where I burst out laughing while watching this stream. That was an irrelevant question that isn't addressing the criticism and is instead running away from it, otherwise known as a red herring.
Whoa.
Whether
Well, I'm not a gay debate person, so I don't care.
Nigerians potentially have a higher
But it was a stupid thing for him to say.
IQ than Chinese people is irrelevant to the fact that Lin's collection of data and subsequent IQ classifications was faulty. You can at least try to keep up with what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck about your question. It was a non sequitur and a straw man.
Not non sequitur. Sorry, guys, I channeled my Nicholas Shirley. Yeah, it was an irrelevant question.
You got 3 logical fallacies with a single question. Very impressive.
Like, really, it's just so that it's
Whoa.
just like you think about this for 3 seconds and you immediately realize that it's
Oh, we definitely agree. And if I can make a small suggestion, Zach, perhaps it's the fact that you only think about things for 3 seconds that's the issue.
That is true. He's a goldfish. He has the fucking brain of a goldfish, dude. Just like, he'll have a different take, or like just every single second, as long as it agrees with his overall narrative of just hating people and grifting, or hating non-white people and grifting.
They found was that because African countries are developing countries, they hadn't experienced the variables that caused the Flynn effect, such as improvements to nutrition, healthcare, and even toys. In other words, the environment is the most relevant variable in determining one's IQ score.
Toys are really important for your level of intelligence, so go get yourself a fleshlight, guys. It'll boost your IQ.
So why would you want to bring people from the country that have a bad environment into your country?
So they didn't have a bad environment anymore? I don't know. Like what?
Why would you want to do that?
This is one of the funniest responses to one of
the biggest reason is because we have an aging population and we need people, but like again, it would have a net positive impact on them and us as well, and it has. So
my videos of all time. Earlier, Asmongold admitted that one's environment plays a part in one's IQ. Literally, this means that a change in one's environment improves that person's IQ. Now he seems to be saying that one's IQ is static. Unfortunately for Zach, we have a study for that. According to a meta-analysis by Ritchie and Tucker Drop, IQ points can be raised by 1 to 5 points for every additional year of education, and that this effect persisted across the entire lifespan of the individual. This means those supposed low IQ African people we import will simply become smarter over time, Zach, which directly contradicts the main justification for why you don't want them in the country.
So, like, I don't understand, because, like, so if your brain isn't developed properly because, like, for whatever reason, you know, environmentally or whatever else, who creates it? Well, they do. They're killing each other and cutting each other up. They've been doing this for thousands of years. I mean, obviously, that's the reason why. And you can't understand their IQ is so good, they have to keep living in mud huts rather than building houses. Exactly what you said. Yeah, of course. So the thing is that it's not relevant to me whether the IQ is arrived at through racial, genetic, or environmental reasons. The only thing that matters is whether the IQ is or isn't. If you bring a bunch of people who are functionally retarded into your country, you're going to have a lot of problems.
What are we going to vote for, a dumb asshole fucking president? Like, what's the problem that we're going to have? Like, what? I don't understand. We're already having significant problems in our country, and you fucking morons like Asmongold voted for them, so couldn't get any worse, honestly.
So why would you ever invite that type of chaos into your country? It doesn't matter where they're coming from. It doesn't matter why it's happening. Why would you ever do that? It's stupid.
So I let him ramble there to show that he doesn't even address the claims that are being made here. I said that environment plays the largest role in determining one's IQ score, showing evidence on the screen, and his response is to fearmonger and appeal to emotion. This man has shown literally
and guys, that's probably a logical fallacy, okay?
Nothing to support his claims, and instead elects to filibuster. I'm not interested. Let's move on.
There's a reason, like,
yeah, pretty much. That's really the way that you would sum that up. Just filibustering.
Aren't like 80?
Well, it's like info dumping, right? Like he's just trying to put out a bunch of information to make it seem like he's intelligent. It's just like a tactic that he wants to use to sound smart.
80% of these people on welfare in America? It's insane.
This guy grew up on welfare. Like, stop with the virtue signal.
And then also keep in mind that it's not just systematic, right? Or it's not just environmental, because even, like, for example, Somali American families inside of America that have been here for 10 years.
10 entire years? That's such a long time.
They have been in America for 10 years.
Whoa.
They still have a much dramatically higher rate of being on welfare than, normal, like I would say, like just average, everyday Americans from the general population.
Wow, really? 10 years? That's so much time to adjust to a culture, guys. Holy fuck. Are you saying in the time where it's impossible for your average American to afford groceries and put money away, where the average American doesn't even have $500 to spare in case of an emergency, you're saying that they weren't able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Poorer people with less access to nepotism and different resources and family in the country, you're saying that they were not able to get off of welfare? Holy fuck. Wow, that's so incredible. We don't have social mobility in the United States. Who fucking cares?
Once again,
like, obviously, that's the reason why they're not off of welfare in 10 years. Like, wow, what a long time.
Zach is parroting misleading information. As I stated earlier,
what's funny, my understanding is that, like, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps was always, like, ironic. You were like, hey, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, because you literally can't do that. Like, you can't actually do that. Like, you can't pull yourself up by a bootstrap. So it's supposed to just, like, be mocking this idea that you can just, like, try harder and do significantly better. You can try harder and do better, but it's not going to be significant. I mean, you should try harder. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying.
These people that he's referring to are refugees and are receiving benefits due to being refugees. Comparing them to average Americans is an unfair baseline. Average Americans have families that have been here for centuries and have established wealth and capital, and he's comparing them to poverty-stricken refugees escaping war.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Also, on welfare is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, as it's a nebulous term that Asmongold doesn't think he needs to define. The truth is that these households are using at least one program, not a full dependency, and even this usage declines over time.
God, dude, I'm just sitting here and it's like, wouldn't it feel so good to just be like, who cares about any of these facts? I'm not on welfare. They shouldn't be on welfare. You know what I mean? That's probably what every Asmongold fan's doing. Like, it's just like a low IQ fucking, I don't know, just emotional responses to everything, you know?
And it doesn't matter.
Dude, sometimes I feel so jealous of people that are like Asmongold and his audience. Like, I really, wouldn't it be so much better if you were just stupid? Wouldn't it be so much better if you were just dumb? Every single time you saw a black person committing a crime, you were just like, oh, dude, black people are inferior. Like, if you were just an Asmongold fan, wouldn't that be so fucking amazing? You know, and just while ignoring our president, who's probably a pedophile. Like, it would feel so good. It would feel so good to be stupid. But, you know, instead, I sit here and I fucking overthink every single thing in my entire life to the point where it gets difficult to sleep. Isn't that fucking crazy? Don't we live in an interesting time? I don't know, man. We certainly do. We certainly do.
Matter because economists agree that immigrants contribute more in taxes than they receive in benefits over their lifetimes, and their descendants contribute even more.
Was that taxes or is this economic stimulation? The net fiscal impact of refugees and asylums is positive over 15 years. This means refugees and asylums are contributing more revenue than they cost in expenditures. Oh, maybe that is like raw taxes.
That's it.
Genetics. But let's rewind for a second.
It has nothing to do whether it's genetics or not.
Take that up with Richard Lynn, the very guy you're getting your silly IQ numbers from, because he very specifically stated genetics are part of one's IQ scores. You seem to want to use Lynn's conclusions, but are running away from his reasoning. Mention something that you all may not be familiar with.
What is it?
The Flynn effect.
Right.
The Flynn effect is the observed rise in IQ scores.
Yep, IQ. Yep. Just being Asmongold for a little while.
Over time.
Yep.
Basically, if you gave an average.
I think this is true. So in general, you are going to have a ceiling and a floor of IQ. Like, for example, if somebody's really, really naturally smart, if they are not well educated and they're not, like basically, they don't have good, what do you call it?
Food? Nutrition?
They don't have good like environment, or like they don't have good nutrition, excuse me. And for whatever reason.
Why, excuse me, both of those things were correct. What?
They don't have these options. Well, what ends up happening is that, yeah, they're not going to be as smart as they could be, but their floor is higher than somebody else's. So it's the same as anything else. There's a
So how do you know that Somali people don't have higher floors than everybody else if they had access to resources?
variation of it, but that variation doesn't go from 100 to 0. There is a natural limitation that each person has. And if you really think that you can train 2 random people and one of them can just randomly be Einstein just because you educate them in the right way, you're just delusional.
Who the fuck is talking about Einstein, dude?
You're obviously delusional. Every single other element of humanity is measured in this way. So, for example, there are people who are shorter because they have lower, amounts of food that they're eating. But it's not like people that have an adequate amount of food are always 7 feet tall either.
Great. What does this have to do with anything?
There is a genetic variation, but in
all of this to say that he thinks Somali people are lower IQ fundamentally. That's the whole point that he's making. He's like, yeah, sure, maybe Somali people could be smarter if they had better resources, but they're still dumb compared to white people. That is the implication of what he's saying. That is what he is trying to say.
Inside of that genetic variation, there is a ceiling and a floor for each individual person.
Literally nothing of what Zach just said has anything to do with the Flynn effect.
No, it doesn't. He's trying to dog whistle that Somali people are less intelligent because they're black. That's the point. That is the point of Asmongold and his audience. It makes them feel good. It's a bunch of underachieving fucking losers. It's a bunch of underachieving fucking losers inside of his audience that feel really comfortable being told that they are inherently better than everybody else because they're worthless. That is the point. That is what Asmongold fans want. They want good boy points for being white because they are completely uninspiring and worthless. That's the whole point.
He just demonstrated that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Again. I guess he saw the chart on the screen and thought it was communicating a hypothetical ceiling in one's intelligence, but I do enjoy him doing my job for me. Person from 1901, a modern IQ test, they would score dramatically lower than the people of today. Not because
this is my favorite part. He just sasses and and then at the end he just goes, "Oh, people get smarter."
because they were genetically predisposed to being less intelligent, but because IQ tests measure certain types of abstract.
There are people that are just stupid.
Wow, incredible.
This is, and there's a problem is that a lot of people inside of Western society are terrified of the idea.
He just wants to info dump that, like us. He's just, right now what Asmongold is doing is he's info dumping to make the point of suicidal empathy. Whether he's explicit about it is irrelevant because that's what he's trying to do. It's a constant like weapon that he likes to say. He likes to say that we as a society are too empathetic to people. That is what he's saying. And that's why we shouldn't help brown people. But if you think that we're too empathetic to people, that's you, bud. We're too empathetic to you and MAGA. We try to make you guys feel comfortable about yourselves. You guys will go around like fucking... You guys are actual morons. You are the stupidest people alive, and we haven't mocked MAGA enough. I mean, these people are fucking psychopath, cultist, fucking idiots. Make your mother feel stupid for voting Trump. That's what you need to do. Mock them. Make fun of your parents, okay? Because we've been far too accepting of... it's insane. We've been far too accepting of people. And an example of this is Joe Rogan. He's a fucking baby. He will have people on like Andrew Wilson that think that gay people shouldn't get married and think that Christian nationalism isn't actually about Christians being the priority. And he goes, oh, okay. Like he's too charitable. That's suicidal empathy to like actual regressive moron takes. Stop. Okay? When we're like, just have a conversation with conservatives. You can. But they're like, just have a conversation with MAGA. They just believe that if a child is violently raped, they should be forced to carry that rapist baby. That's equal to you wanting abortion access. No, it's not. These people are clowns. They're losers. They're stupid. Talk to them. But like that's moron speech. This is the type of people that we're talking about. The suicidal empathy isn't taking in fucking brown people from other countries when we go into their country and extract their resources. Okay, it's giving people like Asmongold a platform to sound. They think that they're fucking intelligent, even though they're the dumbest, lowest IQ fucking morons ever.
That people are not equal, but they're not, and we all know this. Everybody knows this. If you've gone to a public school, you would know this.
It's so funny because they've been crying for how long that like they feel stupid compared to fucking liberals, and now they're like, yeah, other people are very stupid. But that's it.
There are a lot of people that are just born with less talent points than others.
Maybe that's why people on the left are less racist. It's because they just look at fucking MAGA conservatives going, wow, this person is incredibly fucking stupid. And like, you know, if MAGA can't do that to liberals because they're the stupid ones, so they're like, well, you know what? I think brown people are stupid. That's what their whole take is. So, you know, they are racist because they have to look down on somebody based on their skin color and say that they're bad. We're not racist. We're just smarter. I guess we're that's it. That's what we value. Some people, at least. I don't know.
They're stupid. They're dumb.
Stupid. They're dumb.
And there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to like teach them something. Maybe you can make it a little bit better, but you're never going to teach a lot of these people to be rocket scientists.
Wow. Well, thankfully we don't need that. Why the fuck does everybody need to be a rocket scientist? God, chat, you know, not everybody can be a rocket scientist. Are you serious? Wait, what? I didn't even fucking know that, dude. I thought literally everybody could be a rocket scientist. Holy fuck.
It's just never going to happen.
Hey, Zach.
Wow.
We have a study for that.
A rocket scientist?
I suggest you familiarize yourself with the AB Sidarian project because, yeah, we can train rocket scientists actually, and we also can grow one's brain size simply with high-quality early childhood programs.
I think he said we can train them. I think his point was, the point that Asmongold was trying to make is that like everybody, we can't make them all rocket science. He's setting an unrealistic expectation up so that he can again dismiss the existence of certain skin colors of people.
You don't know what you're talking about. There's a reason you evolved with 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Whoa! My mom used to say that to me, and then I said, shut the fuck up. You believe in God, idiot. No, I'm just kidding. I never said that to I would never say that to my mom. She believes in evolution.
James Flynn, the political scientist who documented this pattern, showed that IQ scores increased roughly 3 points per decade in many countries throughout the 20th century.
I think there's a lot of reasons why that happens. And
yeah, that's because
one of the reasons is a eugenic reason.
What?
Whenever you have dumb people that are really stupid, the probability is that they're not going to reproduce.
Dude, I don't think that there's ever been a dumber fucking thing that anyone has ever said in like the history of the world. The idea that dumb people aren't reproducing. This has to be Asmongold's dumbest fucking take, right? Like, we have to understand this. My man, dumb people are the only ones producing. They don't care if they have enough money to survive. They will just go and have fucking kids. They don't give a shit. What are you talking about? Okay? That's the whole point. Smart people try to make sure that they have the finances available to have kids. The hell are you saying? What are you talking about? What?
So the reason why is that those dumb people usually make bad decisions. Those bad decisions get them put in jail, and you can't have a kid whenever you're in jail.
What are you talking? Dude, this guy's an idiot. So what, most dumb people are in jail now? I don't understand what's happening.
So that's what happens, is that a lot of...
He's so dumb. Holy fuck, dude.
dumb people wrong. Well, of course, it's obvious that's true.
I can't believe anybody listened to this and went, yeah. Yeah, I think this guy's actually speaking facts.
Is that a lot of the dumbest people are going to get removed from the gene pool.
He's so fucking stupid.
This man is arguing the opposite of reality. Evidence...
Please, Jesus Lord Almighty, bro. This has to be Asmongold's dumbest fucking moment in his entire life. Like everything, like this is like that. That's the biggest indication that he doesn't go outside. He just, this is, nobody would ever agree with this. Right? Even like racist conservatives are saying, guys, we're taking in too many brown people from other countries that are dumb. They think they're dumb. I don't. Because white people aren't having enough babies and they just think all white people are smart. Asmongold isn't being consistent with any narrative. Ever. He's just saying something to say something. That's it. That's literally it. Please, for the love of fucking Christ, acknowledge this and understand this. Asmongold doesn't mean anything he says. Like, it is a universal truth that stupid people have babies at greater rates than smart people. That's a fact. That's an uncontested fact by anybody in the entire world. Understand, like, Asmongold is a fucking goldfish. He is just responding to sound like he just wants to disagree with everything everyone is saying. This is his stupidest moment ever.
Suggests the more intelligent a population, the less likely they are to produce. It's a paradox that we don't yet fully understand, but the data contradicts Asmongold's claim. To everyone's surprise, I am sure.
What do you mean? No, it's obvious this is true. You're going to have the lowest, the lowest, dumbest people that, like, I'm not talking about, see, like, this is what people don't understand. You're thinking I'm talking about people with like a 90 or an 80 IQ. I'm not. I'm talking about people with a 60 or a 70 IQ.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? You're just saying words.
This is a totally different wavelength. And those people are probably not reproducing because a lot of those, especially the majority of those people with that low of intelligence are men. Those men are getting put in jail.
What?
That's
You're saying that people with IQs of 60 are going to jail? What the fuck is he talking about?
it.
So, if IQ were purely genetic and fixed,
It's not purely genetic. There's a lot of factors to it. Genetics are one factor, but it's not the only factor.
Yeah, but isn't the guy you're referencing, you're quoting, thinks this? That's the whole point that he's making, right? So
that kind of rapid change would be impossible.
Yeah.
Evolution does not move that fast. Your great-grandparents were not biologically inferior to you. They just lived in a world with less formal education.
Well, they were shorter, too. Another component to this is that it's height.
what? What are you talking about?
Like, people in general over the years have become taller. And
wow, what does that have to do with any claim being made?
I think the reason why is the same thing. Like, this isn't even an argument against what I was saying. I think everybody knows this.
What?
You literally didn't. You thought the Flynn effect was a hard limit on one's intelligence. Please stop. You ain't fooling no one. Less exposure to abstract symbols, less complex media, and different cognitive demands.
I don't think that the reason why is that they have less complex media or there's less cognitive demand.
Who cares what you think?
Why? What? Why would that be? Why wouldn't that be the case, though? If you have more complex, more stressful things going on, productively stressful, like a better education system, why wouldn't that yield a better outcome? It doesn't even make sense. He's just saying things to say things.
I'm communicating the data. You seem to be under the impression that I'm giving opinions here when I'm explaining the results of studies on this topic. This is why your response to my video was an abject failure. You believe you are arguing with an equal, a person that is giving an opinion, and since everyone has opinions, you thought yours was just as valuable as mine. But you see here, where it's talking specifically about media? Yeah, I'm breaking down the data, not giving an opinion. I don't care what you think. You're a person that literally admits you don't do any research on these topics, so what you think is precisely irrelevant. Which means IQ scores are sensitive to the environment and improve when the environment improves. Access to schooling, nutrition, healthcare, the complexities of daily life, all of these things are relevant, and none were accounted for in Lin's work. Because of course they weren't. Lin was a self-described scientific racist. His goal was to show how inferior black people were. Richard Lin's work on race...
This is, again, it's not even about race in the first place. This...
It is. That's the whole point of this. What do you mean it's not about race in the first place? That's what the whole thing is about. The whole thing is about race in the every place. That's the whole point of it. Like, that's this guy that you're referencing made everything about race.
This person's arguing with me about something that's different. Now, I do think that if you controlled for every variable, here's the reality, right? Is that if you controlled for every single variable and every variable was exactly the same, and you took 1 million people that lived in Somalia and you took 1 million people that lived in China and you judged their IQ, would they both have the same IQ?
This is Zach admitting that his argument was always about genetics.
I don't understand. What is
Here's about something.
This
is, again, it's not even about race in the first place. This person's arguing with me about something that's different. Now, I do think that if you controlled for every variable, here's the reality, right? Is that if you controlled for every single variable and every variable was exactly the same, and you took 1 million people that lived in Somalia and you took 1 million people that lived in China and you judged their IQ, would they both have the same IQ?
You mean like all 2 million people? Who cares? I would say that they would have a very similar IQ. Yes, that would be it. Similar enough to be negligible, right? Like, IQ isn't the only determining factor in success or like positivity. So like, yeah, I think that they would be within like 5 points of each other. Yes.
This is Zach admitting that his argument...
But his entire argument was always that he thinks that like brown people are dumber.
Was always about genetics, because if it weren't, he'd know the answer to this question is a scientific unknowable. He has always assumed a genetic basis for this argument, and I'm glad he finally admitted it after lying earlier. In any case, we don't know the answer, but all evidence points to them having similar IQs if every factor was accounted for. You don't have competing evidence suggesting any other outcome. Besides Lynn, of course, a person that...
How long do you think it'll take before you see Asmongold in a neo-Nazi group? He's never going to leave the house. We'll never see that. Like, he's never going to leave the house. What's going to happen is things are already starting to rebound back, and he's going to start changing his opinion and perspective. And that's pretty much it. And his, like, audience of ghouls, they're going to be like, see, look, he just plays the Overton window. And his audience of fucking ghouls are going to be like, see, he sounds smart still. He sounds like he's confident, so he must still be right. Like, that's the entire basis of everything here.
That had to publish his findings in the scientific equivalent of the magazines the Men in Black read.
MAGA? Oh my god, I fucking knew it, dude. Holy shit.
Let's move on. The bell curve has been challenged by geneticists, psychologists, and statisticians for overstating the heritability of IQ across groups and for downplaying environmental variables, treating socially constructed racial categories as biological truth. Richard Lynn was one of the primary scholars who compiled and popularized cross-national IQ datasets.
Here's what I think also.
Can't wait for it.
Because this is just like more bullshit. I think that what you should do...
Here's what I think is it's all bullshit.
...is you should do more research into this and figure it out yourself.
Isn't he doing that? Wouldn't you be the one doing that since the data doesn't agree with you?
Go over there and test these people for IQ.
Why don't you do that?
Test people that came over here that don't have these same problems and then see what...
Why don't you do that?
...their IQs are.
So basically, Zach's eyes glazed over because he couldn't keep up. So he called me citing studies bullshit and goes on to say I need to conduct these studies on IQ. That's not how the burden of proof works, dipshit. You are the one claiming these people have low IQs, so you need to go conduct those studies. My side is the current scientific consensus. We already know your eugenicist talking points are bullshit. You need to go prove it to yourself.
There's a reason why we don't do a lot of research on this. And the reason...
We already have done a lot of research on this. But the reason is, of course, because the woke left. Where'd they go, though? That's the real answer.
The reason why people don't do research on this is because they're afraid of the answer. I'm confident that I think that more research and more investigation into this will...
So fund it, dude. You're rich. Go fund it. Go get a bunch of fucking conservatives around and go fund it. But they won't do that because they don't actually care. And it's about making them feel comfortable. It's fucking weird, dude. It's weird. Go outside. Go to the gym, you know?
Lead to the obvious outcome. But for some people, they don't even...
The obvious outcome. What's the obvious outcome? That brown people are dumb? Is that his obvious outcome to him? What a fucking weirdo.
Want to talk about it. They don't even want to look into it. Whoa. And that's the real problem. And they don't want to do that because what they've built onto it is they built an entire ideology of the blank slate. The blank slate doesn't exist. Wow. The blank slate is to a degree true.
And
doesn't exist, but it is true. He's so dumb. The blank slate doesn't exist. It is true. Okay, I love those sentences.
That's all you need to know about Asmongold's positions on anything.
The blank slate doesn't exist. The blank slate is to a degree true.
Huh?
Yep. You know, usually something not existing isn't true to any degree.
Alleging to show innate racial hierarchies.
Yes.
This is the textbook definition of racism, by the way, that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and that those different...
It is a fundamental determinant of traits. It obviously is.
And...
Well, I mean, what does that mean? No, it's not. What traits are we talking about? Skin color? What? Okay.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. He just admitted he's a racist, by definition, with the definition.
He's probably just going to say, like, well, it determines your skin color and stuff like that. That's what his argument's going to be. But he is a racist, though. This one's probably not going to be like a hard line one. The him comparing Somali people to Chinese people was, though.
On screen. So for all the people that claimed I called Zach a racist, I never did, but I probably should have, by his own admission.
One of the best traits is skin color.
There you go. I pre-watched, though, because I've already watched the first video, so I remember that vaguely.
Big surprise. People of one race are going to have one skin color.
He just said...
Yeah, but I don't know if race and skin color are necessarily the exact same thing, right?
People of one race are going to have one skin color. I guess he thinks these two people are of a different race.
That's funny.
And that these two people are the same race. I wonder what he'll say when he sees Freddy. Let's let him continue
I don't understand the reference.
making a fool of himself.
This is one thing that people don't even consider with like racism and skin color are actually two different things. Like if you have people that are from a different race, like race isn't always defined by just like one specific thing. Skin color is just the most obvious indicator of that. Very clearly, there are racial differences between people. Anybody knows this. This is the type of a priori knowledge that every single person in the entire world knows is true, but inside of Western culture, we're supposed to pretend like it's not true.
It's so funny because he thinks that if you have darker skin, you are just a black person. That's it. That's all it is. But obviously, he's not correct about that.
Because people are all willingly participating in this deliberate lie. Very clearly, race is a factor. It's obviously a factor, same as gender is and everything else. But for some reason...
Gender do be existing, guys. Crack the code.
Because people are afraid of talking about this, nobody ever wants to look into it at all.
Well, we've never looked into racial stuff in our ever before. It's crazy.
What? What the hell was that rant? What did any of that have to do with me showing the textbook definition of racism? You sound like an intelligent design proponent. Teach the controversy. No one is afraid of your bullshit eugenics, Zach. They just fall apart under scrutiny. Being debunked is not people hiding the truth. You are a conspiracy theorist, and not even a particularly good one. Flat earthers at least read the literature. Some of them, anyway.
I am dumb and I can't read.
The problem is not simply that Lynn helped...
That was very vague.
Because also keep
it's obscure. I've never... What the fuck?
in mind that if you were actually trying to debunk this, you would do further research into people that live in these areas, and then he would be showing that further research and the IQ differences being more, smaller.
What? Hasn't he been showing that the entire time?
Right? Like, okay, well, there was other research, and this research came out, and it proved that it wasn't true. Isn't it interesting to you?
That's what he did. That's the reason why it didn't get peer reviewed, because of everything he's saying. What?
That in all of these videos and all of this information, not a single actual point of like counter research is provided.
Unfucking believable.
That's my favorite part, dude. He just ignores all the evidence in front of him.
He just accused me of not providing counter evidence when some of that counter evidence is behind his head on the screen. Not to
Yep, that's my favorite part, dude. That's my favorite part, baby.
mention this entire video is explicitly me providing counter evidence. This is one of the most embarrassing responses I've ever seen. He's also asking for us to conduct a study to disprove his claim. Zach doesn't understand the concept of the burden of proof. He is the one that believes and claims African people inherently have lower IQs, so he has to conduct those studies. It's his claim. You see this dumb shit by people who don't know how to debate all the time.
Whoa! I wouldn't really bring up debating, because I don't think debating necessarily makes you smarter or better at anything. I also don't think this is necessarily a debate. This is just like a portrayal of information when it comes down to it. But I wouldn't get too debate brain. I mean, it sounds like you're a little debate brain just based on that. But like, yeah, who cares about the debate part? He's just lying, right? So it's not necessarily like even about a debate. He's just a lying person. He's just saying no, because it doesn't fit his like comfortable view of the world that he is somehow genetically superior.
Can't prove me wrong. We don't need to prove you wrong. You need to prove you right. Saying they won't let us conduct the studies is absolute cope. This is embarrassing for you because that research already exists, as explained by this study right here. It's just that your specific claims routinely get debunked. You don't like the outcomes of peer review, so you lie and construct a boogeyman.
Like my boogers?
Extreme views, including open support for eugenics, but that his data practices have been widely criticized for flaws in its methodology.
Eugenics works.
Okay, incredible.
A good example of it is Yao Ming.
Asmongold.
It's fucking ridiculous. I've already talked about it in the other video, but like, yeah, this is just him downplaying eugenics. Like, eugenics is basically killing people that you think are inferior, usually based on like skin color or something, right? Eugenics isn't, hey, I decided that I wanted to have a tall baby, so I had sex with a tall person, right? Like that's, and then if you think that's eugenics, that is the furthest thing from anybody's mind. That's insane.
Is openly advocating for eugenics. And no, the dumb example Zach gives with Yao Ming is not an example of eugenics, because eugenics refers to systematic attempts to control reproduction across a population to promote certain traits.
Damn. Oh,
Not two tall people having sex to have a tall child. Upon reviewing Lin's work, Witchert states the following. The assertion that the average IQ of Africans is below 70 is not tenable, even under the most lenient of inclusion criteria. Because Lin missed a sizable portion of the relevant literature, their
bro, we just had to talk about how horrible the fucking damage is in my group. Look at this shit. This one guy's doing good damage. These two people suck penis, dude. They're actual penis suckers. It's fucking pathetic. Oh my fucking god, dude. And you want to know what? Actually, they're not penis suckers, because penis suckers would be doing a good fucking damage right now.
estimate of average IQ of Africans is clearly too low. Combined, the current systematic review and the results of our review of Raven's test suggests that the average IQ of African test takers is close to 80.
Whoa, 80 HD?
Is this an argument against me?
Holy shit. This genius tweeted the IQ of Somali people is 68 and that this was a fact. And I show evidence that this wasn't actually a fact. And he responds with, is this an argument against me?
Well, yeah, he's shifting the goalposts. Now it's just about if it's low compared to the United States, could it be higher with education?
You're a moron and a coward. I hate people like you.
Yes, Zach. It definitively proves that you've been quoting an inaccurate number this entire time, one nearly an entire standard deviation lower than the actual figure. How you're trying to spin this is beyond me. On top of that, you and your moronic followers are trying to pretend 82 and 68 are not significantly different numbers when, again, that's almost an entire standard deviation. It is also leaving out the fact
The fuck is a standard deviation mean? What the fuck?
that the 82 IQ figure isn't correcting for economic and environmental factors. So these people are close to average despite living in abject poverty. This entire section of my video ass fucks your original tweet. And
Damn.
for whatever reason, you're pretending like I haven't debunked you. Perhaps it's you with the 68 IQ, Zach.
That would make more sense to me, yeah.
Because you're clearly not intelligent enough to understand that I just demolished your argument. If these people are close to average while suffering from malnutrition and various other economic factors, what happens when they're in a country that doesn't have those issues? Think about it for 3
Is 80 close to average? I feel like 100 is average. I guess 100 is average in our country. But yeah, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
seconds. Estimates of
Oh,
national.
wait, I'm sorry, he's arguing against you? Yes, you cannot join the army with an IQ below 80, by the way. They're borderline.
Damn.
Exactly. So I think that the benchmark, so you cannot be part of the army if your IQ is, I think, below 82. And the reason why is because, and also keep in mind, average. Now, what does average mean? It means half of the people are below that.
Look at his smug
Is that how average? I thought that was like more the median. Oh, I think he corrects it himself, actually.
face while completely getting average wrong. What he just described is the median, not the average.
Oh,
This guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about, yet he's so confident.
This one wouldn't really matter that much if Asmongold wasn't just routinely wrong throughout this entire thing.
This is so fucking funny.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is right, buddy, because according to that stupid logic,
Damn, he gave him the buddy.
it also means half the people are above that. I guess he just forgot what half means. This guy doesn't know the difference between mean and median, and he's trying to shit talk people with supposed low
what the fuck am I
IQs. You
doing?
cannot make this up.
Mm-hmm.
What Witcherts is saying here is that Lin conducted bad science,
Yes.
and that the average estimated IQ of poverty-stricken African people is actually close to average, which is usually defined.
The average, it's actually, wait, what?
African people is actually close to average.
80 is not the average at all.
How is it possible that you heard me say 80 is close to average and still strawman my argument? I mean, I'm even showing on the screen that the average is considered between 85 and 115, and you still don't get it? You, the guy whose argument against immigration is partially based on how intelligent someone is? Yeah, I don't think you're the guy for this conversation, Zach. You might want to tag somebody else in.
I think this is the guy for the conversation, because the conversation is just to like low IQ lowball the fuck out of everybody else. It's not meant to be like honest or intelligent. It's just meant to say no, 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 no. And so somebody gets like stupid, confidently stupid, would be able to do this. Well, how the fuck is this over here?
What are you talking about? That's extremely low in America. That's incredibly low. It's low in Asia too.
Fuck.
Wait, what?
What?
Which is usually defined
Got that Trisha Paytas going on right now.
as
What?
between 85 to 115.
What?
So if it's between 85 and 115, and he said it was low 80s and it was 80 to 82, then it wouldn't be part of the average. You just said the number wrong.
Well, I mean, if that's considered the average based on that data set, then no, he would say the number correctly. If you disagree with the data set, it's because the data set and what is considered average now is actually a social construct, just like race.
This is absolutely hysterical. I didn't say anything wrong, Zach. I very specifically said close to average. 82 is close to 85. I can't say it any plainer than that. It's absolutely frying me that you can barely keep up here while being an advocate of IQ scores. It's like your picture should be next to irony in the dictionary. And remember,
Surely.
we are talking about countries that have faced civil war, famine, disrupted schooling, disease.
Civil war, famine, disruptive schooling, disease. Okay, these seem all great reasons to bring these people into America.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. We've never had any civil war or famine or any disease in America. So, yeah, don't bring those people in here, I guess.
Yes, I agree, because then they wouldn't be facing those issues and could thus thrive as a people. See? Common ground.
Whoa.
And extreme poverty, not to mention constant exploitation.
It's kind of crazy, though, if you think about it. Because Asmongold's so fucking bad at video games. And, like, you know, he's... How embarrassing. That's the whole thing he's known for. Right? I guess he's known for, like, shit political takes and being shit at games and quitting them because he's not very good at them.
By Western countries that literally...
That's right. It's Western countries' fault why these countries are shitholes.
Kinda, yeah. They go in there and they take over their resources, or I guess we go in there, you know. So, and you would praise that fact too. You're like, yeah, I love that. I love we do that. America #1. So, you know this is true.
Shithole is relative. See, you, Zach, lived in a shithole due to the current policies of the United States.
Well, I'm sure that at least one of Asmongold's relatives calls him a shithole.
Many non-Americans refer to America as a shithole. My point is,
we are the biggest shithole Western country. I mean, we're fucking insanely rich, and yet we have horrible healthcare outcomes, and it's horribly expensive. So,
your opinion is irrelevant here. The fact is that, yes, Western countries have destabilized many countries in Africa, including Somalia, and those actions are a major cause for the economic situation these countries are currently in. This is an inarguable fact. The Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States majorly affected Somalia, with Somalia initially siding with the Soviets until they betrayed Somalia by allying with Ethiopia during the Ogaden War.
The what?
This led to...
Stop giving me all these fucking facts, dude. What the hell?
Somalia siding with the U.S. during that conflict, and this war led to the collapse of the Somali government in 1991. Damn. This collapse caused a civil war, and that is why so many Somalis fled to places like Minnesota. So yes, the United States...
Damn. They could have at least went for the bigger soda.
...and the Soviet Union played...
Well, you know, because they got a low IQ, they don't get it. You know, I'm just kidding. Our soda sizes are far too large in America. Let's be fucking real.
...a crucial part in the collapse of the Somali government. Go back to school because you don't know a fucking thing.
Damn, go back to school, bitch.
And that's the reason why, for example, whenever Britain invaded China and forced them to, buy tea and stuff like that, and they colonized India, that's why there's no smart people and people successful in China and India. That's the exact reason. Because, see, like every country that, Europeans colonized is now just totally fucking famine-stricken and terrible, like China.
Yeah, well, he's just basically trying to say, like, hey, listen, other countries have had problems too. Why hasn't this country recovered? It's like, okay, I guess they just haven't.
For example.
This is a false...
Isn't like Greece and Rome like fucking like pretty shit economically, despite the fact that they're allies with Western countries? Like, I don't get it.
Equivalence. China was never fully colonized by European powers. Again, you don't know what you're talking about. What happened in Africa was fundamentally different from what happened in India or China. During the scramble for Africa, European powers controlled 90% of the continent and built colonial systems designed primarily for resource extraction. Those systems left weak political institutions after those countries gained independence. India, by contrast, inherited a centralized administrative state from the British, and China retained state continuity because it was never fully colonized. You're actually making my argument for me, that institutions matter, because places like India were left with robust investment in their social systems, while Africans were treated like cattle, used as bodies for war and things to be exploited for the enrichment of Europe. Persists to this day. God. The phone you're watching...
I agree. I guess I'll take your word for it. Sounds right. That makes sense to me. All the facts make sense.
This video on contains cobalt.
Yes. But I guess if you think that black people are just inherently bad people, you would disagree with that, right?
Chemical element that is abundant in the Congo. This element is mined using child labor in the Congo, and not only does this mining degrade the environment and pollute the local water system, it results in birth defects of the children born there.
So why would you want to bring a bunch of defective kids into America?
I love that. I love that Asmongold is sitting here saying, hey, America goes in and basically fucks these kids. I mean, I've never believed Trump would ever want to fuck kids, though. That's crazy to me. Who cares, though? Why would we want to help those people? That's the take. That's his take. Oh, we're fucking ruining their life. Why would we want to help them? Like, I guess good point. I don't know. Why would we want to help the people that we're abusing? That's how I feel. I think abuse is okay. That's the implication of what Asmongold's saying.
Why would you want to do that? It's stupid.
I am describing the conditions that contribute to these people's socioeconomic outcomes. If they're being exploited, this would contribute to them having a lower IQ. Your argument against their potential immigration is that they're lower IQ. I am proving that we are contributing to that, not making an argument that any one person should immigrate to the United States, but that if they did immigrate, their IQs would rapidly increase, because that's what happens when you live in a country where you're not being exploited and receive proper nutrition and education. Why is Zach having this hard a...
What if instead of people in Somalia being malnourished and abused, what if they were actually Charlie Kirk instead? You guys ever think about that one? Probably not.
Time keeping up with this very simple video. Do I need to speak slower? In 1996, the American Psychological Association's Task Force on Intelligence explicitly warned that environmental factors such as education, nutrition, and health significantly influence IQ test performance.
Why do they keep warning and not researching?
What does that mean? Wouldn't they have to do the research to warn? Wouldn't they have to have a factual basis for their claim?
How the blue hell does anyone sit through this man talking for more than 10 minutes at a time? He just asked, why are they not researching while the research is literally on the screen?
They're making the claim based off of research. And he's like, why aren't they researching? That's crazy. This guy's a fucking moron.
You see, he's not listening to understand. He's waiting for an opportunity to speak, usually with one of his stupid canned talking points that has nothing to do with what's being said. This is an absolutely abysmal attempt at a rebuttal, and the fact that he wasn't embarrassed to put this shit out is exactly the problem with this guy. So this brings us back to Zach's tweet.
Right.
Yes, this claim...
Right, I remember this part. I'm going to put a nice smug face on.
...is racist because it was made... by a racist whose entire purpose was to denigrate an entire continent to uphold white supremacist narratives.
Guys,
let's hear it.
It's 80. It's not 67. It's not 68. Ooh. It's actually all the way up there at 80. It's racist. It's racist. Guys, it's racist. Oh, no.
The only thing you were missing there was the clown makeup, Asmongold, because you are doing nothing here but making a fool of yourself. You were wrong about the number you cited, calling it a fact, and now you're coping, pretending that 82 isn't a significantly higher number than the one you cited. You're trying to downplay being off by nearly one standard deviation. Yes, the claim you made was racist because that number was specifically arrived at to denigrate African people, as Lin excluded evidence that showed African IQ scores were higher than what he wanted to show. You haven't refuted a fucking thing here. You're just talking over my video. Defend yourself. Fight back.
That is him fighting back, dude. That literally is his defense. His defense is feigning ignorance and being confidently wrong. That's literally it. That's like the whole Asmongold thing. That's what conservatives do. That's what these MAGA freaks do. Him, Tactone, Nextaku, that's all they do.
Substantiate your claims. Do something other than crying about people correctly attributing the racist label to a guy that literally called himself racist.
Damn, self-described racist? More like self-described basted. Am I right, guys? We love racism here.
You have no evidence. You have no facts. You have nothing backing you up besides your feelings. Well, guess what, motherfucker?
Oh, guess what? My facts do care about my feelings. What do you think about that?
Facts don't care about your feelings.
They care about mine, bro. Because they're nice. My facts are nice.
I'd be embarrassed to be subscribed to you because the best you had to offer was think about it for 3 seconds. How about you think about it for 4 seconds? Because at least with that extra one, you might accidentally stumble into a real argument.
I look ugly as shit. What the fuck?
Keep in mind the biggest mining operations in Africa are Chinese. They usually employ Russian mercenaries for protection.
Oh, goodness. Is that true, or is you just reading a chat message?
What's this Western bullshit? Well, of course the Chinese do that. I mean, duh.
See?
What does that matter? By the point that he's making is that since it's China doing it instead of America, regardless of whether it's true or not, it means it's not our fault. That's the whole point. It's just that's literally it. That is literally it.
Some dumb, inaccurate bullshit that his audience pulled from their ass, and he just accepts it because it fits the narrative. Chinese mining operations in Africa aren't even in the top 10. Like, some of these are even called Anglo. Once again, no facts, no evidence, no nothing. Just
What does that mean? They like to fish?
regurgitate anything that seems to fit his narrative. And it's even more embarrassing because he's doing this live, proving he knows literally nothing about this topic. Your worldview requires Somalia or any other African country to be permanently capped at 68 IQ in order to make sense, then the science wasn't the point.
Yes.
The conclusion is.
Yes.
And that,
well, the conclusion is the point, actually. Like, if there's a country that has an IQ of 68 average, or let's say it's 80 on average, let's assume it's 85. Yeah. Do I want to bring a bunch of median level, average 85 IQ people into the country?
Well, is that really what this is about? It's more about just them not being as dumb as you're trying to pretend that they are, right? So, does this matter? This question, is it even relevant?
No, it's because these people are like an entire almost standard deviation below the average, and I think that their functional value in society is going to be minimal.
2 things. First, Zach was just trying to laugh off being nearly a standard deviation off in his tweet, but is somehow now arguing that a standard deviation from average is big enough to warrant banning these people from immigration. The guy is a flaming hypocrite. And
it sounds like you're trying to be a little gay-phobic.
Second, we've already proven that these apparently low IQ Somali people contribute significantly to the economy, so saying their contribution is minimal is a flat-out lie. But Zach did just prove that he'll accept literally anything as long as it confirms what he wants to believe. So we know he's just talking out of his ass here with nothing to back up his claims.
That's sad. Wow, mic drops, I know. So basically, this guy spent his entire video calling me racist, and then when he finally showed the data still showed the exact same thing that I was saying.
It didn't, but okay.
But he said it was a different number.
Everything out of your crust-ridden mouth is a fucking lie. I didn't spend my entire video calling you a racist. We all just watched it together. I spent nearly the entire video not even talking about you. 99% of that video's runtime is me talking about the history of the claim and why it was bad science. Not only that, I never once called you a racist, only that the claim itself is a racist claim. Remember, we are talking about whether Trump's claim was racist in nature. No one is even talking about you specifically, not even you. And the idea that anything I said supported you.
In his defense, I was calling Asmongold racist. Okay, he was.
Your
He is.
dumbass tweet is ludicrous.
It's crazy too because he probably doesn't even actually believe he's racist, or he probably doesn't even like actually believe what he's saying. Like it probably is all just like a fucking grift. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, it is a grift, but you know, I'm thinking about it. You know, I don't know how. Part of it's probably psyop by Twitter. Part of it's just like he's just saying things. Like he's just saying it for attention, dude. I think that's a big part of it too. There's multiple factors, but makes him comfortable. Weird. It's weird.
You were summarily debunked. You stated Somalis had a 68 IQ. That was a lie. You said it was a fact. I proved it wasn't. You said this was a narrative push. I proved you're the only one pushing a narrative. This idea that the 82 IQ number that Witcher's used supports anything you believe is nonsensical. You're forgetting that part of that argument is that those people are still living in poverty and are malnourished. The argument is that if these people immigrated to somewhere like America, their IQs would be perfectly average because the data supports that those with lower IQs can raise them with proper nutrition and education. How the fuck did you fail to comprehend the video this hard?
I think it's because Asmongold doesn't have proper nutrition. Like we have to, you know, I understand Asmongold's not fat, but you guys have to understand Asmongold has an obese lifestyle. Like I know I'm fat, but I'm healthier than Asmongold. He has an obese lifestyle. He eats like shit constantly. He drinks sugary foods, or food's great. He drinks sugary drinks constantly. Like he's the disgusting animal who like lets himself bleed from the gums till his teeth rot out. He hangs out with fucking cockroaches, like you know, and he's proud of it. That's the whole thing. Like he doesn't like he's the victim of his own lack of like a proper diet. This guy's gonna end up. He's gonna end up developing like osteoporosis. As a man, like that's what's going to happen. His bone density is fucking gone.
I can't believe someone like you has the nerve to use IQ to denigrate others, because clearly you are low IQ.
This reminds me of the music that used to be on the old Splash Mountain ride at Disney. He drinks sugary burgers. That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm kind of vibing right now. All right. Well, that was a cool outro.